Hello, everyone in podcast land. I'm David.
And I'm Jono.
And this is the podcast where we have the hottest of sauce and the even hotter takes.
Yeah, because we're going to wing it.
Wing it. Nothing's prepared except the things that are prepared.
Yeah.
But today we have another treat for you.
Do you have a right to have an opinion?
Absolutely not.
No.
Or do you?
I don't know. David and I, we don't put too much prep into this. Mm-hmm. And literally it was like 6 a.m.
Yes.
That you and I were talking, going, what are we going to talk about today?
And it's an important topic. The topic of kind of audience versus critics and review bombing and all these weird takes that are happening in the modern era of online reviews. Everyone has an opinion, but are all of those opinions valid? And should we listen to them all?
Yeah. Like it kind of stemmed from The Last of Us episode 3. It's the most hottest show right now. It got review bombed. And I feel that is unfair.
Super unfair.
Yeah.
Most review bombing is. But there is genuine reasons to review bomb. And we will talk about that. But first, we are talking about the winging. Now we're going to talk about the winging it, which is wings, chicken nuggets sauce.
Yeah. We're back. Pew, pew, pew. Because we have our really awesome Patreon member, Matthew Noonan, who sent us not one, not two, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bottles of hot sauce.
Big bottles.
Still the big boys.
We'll have a video up on the Twitter showing you the bottles.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take a video of Jono as he samples the first one.
Which one? Okay, you have to choose.
Well, it's the first one we both saw.
Oh, wait, yeah. I think it was...
that one. Yeah.
Kansas City Barbecue Gates. Ooh.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Oh, that's really good. If you guys want to watch us eat them, you gotta subscribe to the Patreon. That's gonna be the exclusive Patreon killer app, is us just eating stupid fucking sauces.
We're gonna be a
mukbang.
Mukbang.
It's a complicated thing figuring out what reviews even mean in 2023.
We have now enabled everyone to have a public viewable opinion. I grew up as a 90s kid, and pretty much all the reviews you could see is either through newspapers or through like television, like Cisco and Ebert would tell you something, and you kind of have to accept it and listen to it, and you kind of go, and then you can make a choice to go see it or not.
For sure.
And pretty much, I do understand that reviews is either make or break a piece of media, because even with like a 0.5% or a half a star could mean difference between $1 million and $1,000.
Well, I remember when movie star ratings were kind of the main way of doing it. The difference between a 3-star and a 3.5 star is pretty big. Like 3.5 is like, that's a good movie, whereas 3 is like, that's a good movie.
Yeah.
And I find it's gotten harder and harder to navigate what reviews I actually care about and how I decipher the code. So when you are going to go watch a movie, or you're deciding, I want to go see this movie, what do you look at?
I literally go to 3 websites: Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, and then Metacritic.
Yep.
Like those are the 3 main ones. And then if all those 3s were kind of like, no, don't go see it, I will go to Wikipedia and then kind of skim the synopsis, scan the synopsis, and just enough not to spoil myself. And then I will go to critical reception, because that is actually like the ultimate aggregator.
Totally.
I find.
It aggregates the aggregator.
Or give me like a 62%, but here's why.
Yeah.
And Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes is good just as their own aggregators too, but I don't know, Wikipedia just seems nicer, I find.
I think that's totally fair. I do about the same thing with movies. I usually go to Rotten Tomatoes first because I like it as a measure of, not how good a movie is or how bad it is, but how many people liked it.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's really useful. I go to IMDb next, which is usually pretty similar to the Rotten Tomatoes audience score.
Yeah.
But usually a little more militant. That's where the review bombers go, is IMDb, when they want to make their unhappiness known. And Metacritic's usually a good, wow, this thing has 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. That seems really high. Then you go to Metacritic and it's like 68%. And that's high for a movie. It's very different than gaming. Okay, yeah, it's a good movie. And usually what I find is I'll kind of touch all points of data and come to a conclusion as to what that means.
Yeah.
High rating on critic side of Rotten Tomatoes, low audience rating means it's pretentious and stuffy. It's probably a little bit slow.
Yeah.
But it's probably a well shot, well thought out movie with very interesting ideas.
Yeah.
But it's boring.
IMDb, I like that website because it is the quote unquote professional website. which is kind of weird. It started off as like who was in what and now, and then you can get the IMDb Pro package.
Yeah, if you want like your agents, to be able to share,
which is super weird because it was actually part of my immigration process.
Really?
They're like, oh, can you give me references of what you've done, where you're credited from? Do you have an IMDb? Do you have a Wikipedia? And immediately when I saw that, I'm like, can I make an IMDb? Can I make a Wikipedia page?
Did you?
Apparently, Wikipedia page is extremely hard.
Really?
And IMDb, I just didn't do it because I filled out everything else.
Yep.
I was like, if I have an IMDb, I feel really pretentious. And, you know, it's just, whatever. But yeah, like, I use IMDb to see who's in the movies too.
Yeah, for sure. That's usually what I use it for. Sometimes I would look at it for like trivia or random behind the scenes facts. I find it's been really interesting as the discussion has grown, you know, audience versus critics. And I feel like there's a growing disdain amongst quote unquote audiences against critics. They feel like there's an agenda that critics are trying to share, you know, like woke critics, or they're like, you know, they're so pretentious. And it's interesting having dipped my toe in the critic sides.
Yeah.
How that's so untrue. There's not like a group chat where, you know, everyone's like, oh, there's not like this feeling of like, oh, I got to make sure that people don't think I'm stupid. It's just the context in which a critic watches a movie and the context in which you, someone who waited a couple weeks and read reviews and saw a bunch of other opinions and formed yours and then saw it, is drastically different.
Yeah.
And I think nothing exemplifies that divide more than The Last Jedi.
And also, for me, like, I disagree with the critics on Russo Brothers' The Gray Man. Like, I really enjoy that movie.
Critics gave it like what, 55 on Rotten Tomatoes?
55, it's 65. I thought, like, those some shots, I'm like, holy shit. Like, why did you do this shot? Like, I do not need drone footage like this. I just need pan of castle. I don't need the drone going underneath a bridge and going around.
Yeah. This is a great example because 46 on Rotten Tomatoes, but the audience score is 90%.
Yeah. So, like, I understand there is no school out there will teach you how to be a media critic. They will teach you how to be a journalist, and then you just have to keep doing it. And it's just that these people do it at a professional level. Like, I would like to say that we are semi-professional. Oh, you're more professional than I
have a little more history of it. Yeah, sure.
So, like, I'm getting there. Oh, you're there. It's just the fact that we consume a lot of media, like, every day. And so we know the kind of little trigger points, and we can kind of see the movie before even going in by the trailers, going what kind of movie this is. And also, like, seeing, oh, is this an Oscar movie? Like, did they purposely made this for the Academy Awards? Or did they just make it because they truly love the topic that they're talking about?
Oh, for sure. And it's hard. The more you review movies and the more you're used to breaking down the movies you have watched, the harder it is to turn off that part of your brain. And you watch a movie with your analytical brain, and it's a very different experience than when you're here to enjoy this movie. Yeah. You are constantly made aware of all the mistakes, all the things, but then also all the good things. And you're seeing the technical side of the movie. You're seeing kind of like the building blocks instead of just experiencing it as it is. And I think that's for better or for worse, where I know from film school and writing about film, I grew a great appreciation for good film and a greater disdain for shitty films that are just money-making ventures. But it's interesting that people feel like critics are so disconnected from what audiences like. And what do you think are the reasons that lead to, you know, that big divide? Like, why do you think critics hate The Gray Man, but it's beloved by audiences?
Yeah, so I think it's in like kind of the weird situation. It's kind of like similar to what we experience in the tech field. Like, maybe not you as much as what I've seen, because I deal with brands on a editorial and a sponsorship basis. And I'll talk about that in a second. But I think it's just the fact that these people watch the movie so much, and the fact that you have to kind of look at it like, when you look at it entity as of an audience, it's like a blob. But it's a really dynamic blob that some days, like, it likes all the zombie movies for like 5 years. And then, it loves like Austin Powers for like 3 years and whatever. That blob is so dynamic and changes all the time. Well, critics are pretty consistent. If you know as personally a critic that you follow, you're going to know what he's going to like and what he's not going to like.
I think that critics are like victim to the trends as well, in the sense that like, you know, there's a general sense of fatigue about Marvel movies. So like they're reviewing slightly worse as we go on.
Yeah.
It's interesting having the experience of being sold a movie versus, you know, having to buy the movie. Like I got to go to the press screening of Uncharted. It's probably the most recent one I've been to.
Really? You went to that?
The press screening, not like a premiere or something.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that email.
And that was cool.
Yeah.
And I think at one point in my career, it would have probably shifted my opinion slightly positive, being like, oh, it's cool. Like, hey, they invited me. I don't want to say anything bad. I don't want to make them upset.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's the fact that in like Short Circuit, like just for example, especially like with new people.
Totally
like,
new people.
Yeah. So like people who start getting a following, like 5,000 followers on Twitter or whatever. And then you start getting on these mailing lists. And then it's exactly that. It's just like, oh, I don't want to like piss off Sony Pictures.
100%. Yeah. I don't want to make anyone mad.
Yeah. So like, because the thing is that there is like a shadow ban. Like you can get shadow banned.
Minus Media Group is shadow banned for a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like I'm at MKBHD.
That's not a secret or anything.
Yeah. That's not a secret. But like MKBHD, I don't know we're shadow banned or not. Because
I doubt it.
It's just the fact that new people, they're really careful what they say. Big people, they will just say what is honest and true.
Yeah. And I think that's something that's cool about like Linus is that, you know, he just speaks his mind. I know I was afraid, like when we unboxed the Last of Us box, I was so eager to get more. I was like, I wouldn't say anything negative. And I to this day, I wonder, did that experience actually affect my overall opinion of the game? And there's no way for me to separate the two. Like,
wait, was that The Last of Us?
Last of Us 2 was the first one, that big metal box.
No, that was The Last of Us. Yeah. No, for some when I heard Last of Us, I heard Uncharted.
Oh, no, it's not The Last of Us. It's The Last of Us.
Yeah,
I don't think it had a direct impact, but that level of marketing and that level of influence is really subtle.
Yeah.
Like you don't, oh, wow, I got gifted something. I love it now. It boosts it by 0.5%, and that's enough to push you over the edge.
Yeah, honestly, like that 0.5% could make it from like a B to A.
Totally. And I mean, like you take the experience as a whole, and I mean, like this is such a weird niche example, but it's like part of my experience of The Last of Us 2 is opening the stuff and experiencing that. Yeah. And I think it's the same, even as an audience member, if you buy the collector's edition of something, part of your experience is like, hey, you get the God of War Ragnarok edition, you get a hammer, and like, that's part of your God of War experience, and that enhances the entire experience.
I mean, also too is the fact that like if you purchase the limited edition or whatever, you spent that money, so you were wholeheartedly committed to this game, and you don't want to look like an idiot.
I'm not saying feel like an idiot.
It's like I spent, like for example, the Cyberpunk. Remember that unboxing? It's like that. I think that was like $150 or $200.
Sure.
And well, that unboxing is crazy. The game came out was terrible. And I will say this, that game was properly reviewed bomb. Like that was like a good call.
Yeah. Well, it's tough though, because yes, it was a hugely problematic game, and they should not have released last gen. They should have never released it. They should have apologized, refunded, and just done next gen and PC. Because the PC version, hey, it was glitchy and there was lots of unfinished stuff, but it was pretty fun.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, it's like that game was properly review bombed because a lot of people had last gen consoles. And everything.
But I think so. Yes, it's tough because absolutely that game deserves to be review bombed.
Yeah,
and I think that's a good case of review bombing where it's one of our few avenues left as consumers. To protest.
It's like that. That's I was actually thinking about this earlier today. It was like you have two methods of protest: review bombing something and not buying it. But like review bombing is kind of a contributor of not buying it or influencing other people not to buy it.
Yeah,
and that is just like one of those like really cool ways that you can actually be heard.
Yeah.
As people reviewed bombed the crap out of Cyberpunk. But now if you play it today,
pretty good game.
It's a pretty good game. Yeah. Oh, actually, one thing I do want to say this. I found a unused code for Cyberpunk 2077. So if you're listening right now, I will tweet this out on post.
Yeah.
So retweet that tweet. And whoever, I'll pick a winner and they get that code to play more finalized version of Cyberpunk, which is really
well
good.
Worth playing. Well worth playing.
Well, the storyline's kind of but
I like it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyways,
it's The Witcher 3.
But also, it will get you to play the first Cyberpunk, then the expansion comes out.
Yeah, that's going to be, there's already an Edge Runner DLC, which was pretty minor.
Yeah, it's cosmetic stuff.
Yeah. But then there's a real whole expansion.
Yeah, and Patriot or something?
Yeah, and CD Projekt Red is known for their excellent expansions.
It says it's bigger than Blood and Wine.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That game needs it though.
Yeah.
Like, and what I want there to be is not more space. I want it to be denser. I think that's what Cyberpunk needed, is that the density is
I think
there.
Idris Elba is in it.
Yeah, I remember seeing that in the trailer.
Yeah. But anyways, back to your point of like voting for dollars. That's what it is.
100%. And I think it is a way that gets seen. And I really do appreciate that, where like if everyone bands together and makes their unhappiness known, it makes it to a developer because they see that.
Yeah.
I think the trade-off is that, it's kind of like the boy who cries wolf. We do it too much.
I mean,
and we do it all the time. Like,
yeah.
There's just a ton of examples of review bombing all the way back. The first one is Spore. I was
looking that up too.
Yeah.
And I totally forgot about it because I followed Maxis. Like the developer was Maxis. That game, the reason why I got review bomb is that maybe not a lot of people know about this. There was something called DRM, the Digital Rights Media. Electronic Arts was playing around this to prevent people from pirating, and the way to prevent pirating is EA's method was to limit how many times you can install the game.
Yeah.
Like every license can only install up to 3 times. Just imagine you had a critical failure on your PC and you had it installed and you had to reinstall again.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
I think you could email them past the third time to be like, hey, I want to install again. But like, what a combination of caveman technology and like absolutely Orwellian DRM.
Yeah.
Like it's insane that they thought that was okay.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how, it's another tangent, let's wing it.
Yeah.
DRM has evolved so slowly from making us review bomb a game.
Yeah.
Because that's unacceptable. And making the Xbox One an utter failure when they announced their DRM.
Yeah.
To what they announced, basically a worse version of what they announced, basically being what we got this generation. You have to connect online.
Yeah.
And if it's your primary console, you can stay offline for a certain amount of time. Yeah. Every console is online now.
Yeah.
And you have to check in. Xbox, at least they were going to make it that you could sell licenses or trade games or stuff. You could like lend the game to your friends. We don't even have that. All we have is the online checks. And you have to constantly like go online. And it happened so slowly, so silently.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't made a big deal. Like that's one of those things where I'm back on the side of the angry review bombing critic or consumer of like, was the press told not to talk about it? Like, why is there no articles of like, hey, this is the future of DRM?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's just back to what it was originally said. But I think IGN, I will publicly say this. I followed IGN since like the early 2000s.
Yeah, when it was still the Imagine Game Network.
Yeah, it's like, holy shit. Like, IGN, you sold out hard.
Oh, for sure. When you get that big, you always sell out. Same with GameSpot.
I mean, reverse. We just talked about like how Linus and Marquez are so big that they will just say whatever.
But it's because IGN isn't singular personality driven. It's a corporation that's cycled through.
It's a publisher. It's
hundreds of people. Yeah. And
but I will say, it's just the fact that IGN, I never trust IGN. Every time I see a YouTube video, I'm about to click. If I see IGN, I will not click.
Sometimes I click it, but usually it just means such a milquetoast take on a game. It almost feels like they read the Metacritic and just put it out.
It's not. I don't think it's the writer's fault. It's the culture.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I mean, if I was, writer number 643 and I'd come and this was my 70th article.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, you have a week to play this and write this game. Like, there's a formula that you're supposed to stick to and you're not going to go far away from it. You're just going to do your job and do it. But I actually kind of picked out some review bombs in history.
Yeah.
And we should rate how valid they were.
Okay.
So Mass Effect 3 was review bombed by audiences, not because of the ending, but because they forced you to go and play their multiplayer mode if you wanted to get galaxy readiness level. Is that review bomb worthy?
Yes.
Yeah. That was like utter bullshit.
Because like I think I didn't do that. I didn't play No, wait, I did.
You had to.
I had to. I remember that. No, I totally forgot. The bad ending kind of like warped that part.
Yeah. But the bad ending is worse than that.
Yeah. That like forcing me to play. This is such a introvert thing to say. If you force me to play with others, I will hate you. Yeah.
You can make a mode that I want to play, and that Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, it's pretty fun.
It's now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, because Mass Effect 3, like when you think about it, like everything about the game was really well done.
Just the ending.
Yeah, I tried to play Mass Effect 1 the other day.
It's a little rough.
I'm like,
did you do the Legendary Edition?
Yeah. Well, it's free on Xbox.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Shadow Game Pass.
Game Pass.
That's gaming.
I actually had to cancel it the other day. Well, I mean, I packed up my PC.
Oh, fair.
Yeah, but actually, wait. Here's another additional shout out to Game Pass. It renewed on the 1st.
Yep.
And I canceled it yesterday. And they're like, oh, we'll give you a refund that's like 99% the value.
Oh, that's really nice. No, normally they're just like, oh, you're good till next first.
Well, that's what it says. Like, do you want the refund now? Or do you want like
prorated amount?
Yeah. So I was like, oh, I'll just do it now. And then when I unpack my PC, I'll just re-enable it again.
Okay.
So I was like, hey, shout out to Game Pass. But yeah, the first one is like, I'm like, holy shit, how do you play this? So I played the second one. I'm like, it's getting there. It's like Mass Effect 2 to me is like the perfect game.
Yeah.
And Mass Effect 3, I'm like, holy shit, this game plays so good.
Yeah.
But why is this like actually everything but the end is so good?
And there's these amazing endings for each storyline, like the Genophage storyline, you know, with Mortis and stuff. Like there's just so many good endings and like Tali and stuff. But you can see the EA influence on the ending of like, you got to finish, you got to get it out. Like you can see they wanted to do more, and they eventually patched in a better ending that's decent, but it's still not great.
It's not great. And then then how big like talking about Mass Effect, Andromeda was just like a hot mess.
Utter piece of shit.
Like,
but
that's deserving of review bombing.
And that did get review bombed. But yeah, next in history was Skyrim when they implemented paid mods. So they introduced a platform where you would pay for mods.
Yeah.
I think creators got a small percentage of it, but Bethesda was trying to maximize profits, and they recognized that their games are best with mods.
I will put
Is that worthy of a review bombing? Let's rate them out of 5. So 5 is most worthy, 1 is 0 worthy. So Mass Effect 3, how worthy of a review bomb?
That's a 5 for sure.
Oh, I think it's a 4 for me.
Really?
A 4. Because I get it. They really wanted people to play that multiplayer mode, and it was pretty good. But so I'll apologize. But it's bullshit.
Yeah, I don't like it when people force me to do things.
Okay, Skyrim versus paid mods. 1 to 5.
I give that a 2.
Really?
Here's the reason why. It's the fact that at least they made it like an official way. Like, actually, wait, no, let me upgrade to 3. But this is why I say it's not that bad. At least it gives these modders a way to get paid officially and into a market where this game is probably even to this day is played a ton.
A ton.
Yeah.
And I don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure if the people are going to be paid or not. I think that was part of their pitch,
I
right?
remember that's what the pitch.
So I am going to give it I'm gonna give it a 5 because it was fucking bullshit where they're monetizing off the work of others.
Yeah.
And it's such a evil capitalist overlord thing to be like, oh, but like, you kind of benefit, but we benefit so much more from what you've been doing for free this whole time.
Yeah, I will, because I can see it from the publisher side. It's like you are profiting from our core IP, or not IP, but like a core game that we spent millions and millions of dollars, but they probably made $1 billion off that game. Yeah. But it's the fact that it's kind of weird because like I'm in that position where I will argue. Like I remember doing Short Circuit, I will copyright the shit out of people because they just rip the video.
Yeah, that's
yeah. But then there's some people that will rip it and then will kind of do their things, and those other people will make a whole new concept and just quote us, which is fine.
That's fine. That's totally fine.
But
and you can tell the difference. There's content that exists just to be using your content to make to gain something, and then there's content that's actually commenting and transforming what you're saying into something new.
But I think they fixed that.
They eventually canceled it because they were like, "Oh, yeah, we can't do that." Next, I have on my list, which is out of order somehow, both Nier Automata and Psychonauts 2 getting review bombed because they weren't available both in Chinese and Russian.
Yeah, I saw that on that list. I have not played. I'm sorry, Psychonaut 2.
You need to. It's so good.
I haven't played the first one.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I would jump right to the second because the first one's a little janky these days.
Here's the reason why. It was always that one of the games I wanted to play. It was just like I treat it like Wes Anderson movies. Like I'll play it
when the right time.
Yeah, the right time. So I know it's a good game. It looks like a good game. I do want to play it, but not right now. And it's been like 10 plus years, which is really embarrassing.
Yeah.
But like I saw that, and it like to me that is unfair.
Yeah. So okay, what would you rate it? 1 out of 5?
Oh, that's like 0.
That's an unfair one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it a 1 or a 2. I get it. It would be frustrating, but I also think that like review bombing isn't the way to do it.
No, it's the fact that you should make make a group of people,
Yeah.
be very vocal, and going, here, we have X amount of dollars ready to give you. Give us a Chinese port version. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Do not review bomb, because that's just, that doesn't make sense to me.
No.
Because the thing is that these companies have looked at these games going, which markets do I should focus first? And then they probably saw China. No offense to China at all. They're probably going, oh, we only sold like 10,000 copies.
Yeah, I don't think Psychonauts is a huge brand in China.
Yeah,
but
so, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, it's like how anime was in the 90s for me. I was a big anime fan. Oh, I am still a big anime fan. But in the 90s, I had to wait for my local video store that was like a mom and pop shop to get it.
Yeah.
Because Rogers Video didn't have it. Blockbuster didn't have it. So,
and I think with the case of Psychonauts 2, they very quickly were like, there's other versions coming. It's just like, we're a small company. I know we're owned by Microsoft now, but like, we weren't. And like, just chill.
I mean, by being owned by Microsoft doesn't mean you have access to like $1 billion.
Yeah, exactly. You don't get to call Steve Ballmer or whatever. Is he even fucking part of Microsoft anymore? I don't even know. GTA 5, when they removed access or like the tool, the modding tool, OpenV, so they basically blocked access, which was the main tool for mods.
So, okay, that's back to kind of the Skyrim thing.
Yeah.
It's
like
kind of
reverse, yeah.
It's kind of weird because it's like, okay, when GTA 5 first came out, what were the reviews on?
What do you mean? Oh, there was 360 and PS3?
Yeah, but like what was modding available back then?
No. Because PC, I think they did next gen version. So PS4, well, at the time, and Xbox One. And then a year after that was the PC version. And then mods weren't even available right at launch of PC. But we all knew it was coming because that's the whole fucking point.
I want to be Harry Potter and shooting.
I want to be Spider-Man. I want to be Iron Man. Whatever.
It's kind of weird because like that one is like with the mods, it's kind of made it like a whole different game. And then, but the reviews, the core, like 90% of the reviews before that happened was probably not about the mods, but it's probably about, oh, I want to play Trevor and just like beating up some people on Venice Beach. So it's like, it's just to me, I'm like, yeah, I get it, but also I don't.
It's hard. Again, we're on a tangent. Let's swing it. I think that one of the biggest losses in gaming is the mod scene. I think because publishers want to monetize everything, they don't want people to make free content. They don't want people that make add-ons. They want games to come out on a certain schedule and add-ons to come out on a certain schedule. And they want to maximize profit at every possible corner. And mods aren't part of that plan. And I think so much of gaming, especially like late 90s, early 2000s, is thanks to mods.
No, it's some of the 3 biggest games in the world are is because of mods.
Literally,
It's like Counter-Strike,
Dota,
League of Legends.
Yeah.
I remember playing League of Legends and Dota back when it was World of Warcraft 3 servers. It's like, I was like Rise of the Ancients or something.
That's what Dota is. Defense of the Ancients.
Defense of the Ancients. Oh, is that Dota?
Yeah.
I don't.
Anyways.
See, that's like so far ago. Like I'm playing.
You don't even
like
think about that.
It's like, oh, I'm the big tree guy. I'm just gonna go. Oh, I kill these things. Cool. That's
but you think about those are like Dota and League are the 2 of the biggest, if not the biggest games.
Yeah. So I do agree with you. Like for companies to remove the modding ability is 100% shit. Because here's the thing: is that modding allows people to have creative freedom on a property that you made and you own. I 100% agree with you that you have the right to do it, but should you?
Yeah.
Do you block that modding ability? No, because here's the thing. Let's say for business, Valve saw Counter-Strike. Did they block him? No, they bought the guy.
Yeah.
So
it's a win-win all around.
Yeah, it's a win-win. So it's like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
You should just go, oh, that's game popular. Oh, I'll buy the guy.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm not buying.
Well, it's because business people the business people making the decisions aren't coming through the gaming scene. They're coming from the outside. They're coming from business school and shit.
This is why I think Linus hates MBAs.
Totally. Yeah. It's you have MBA brain and you're just so uninteresting. And you're like, this works. We're gonna do this, and you make your plan and we're sticking to it.
Yeah.
And I think that sucks because so much like gaming would be so different if we allowed other people's creativity to be part of it.
Yeah.
And I think like it's cool that gaming has democratized development in a lot of ways. Like Unity is the easiest game development tool ever to make like a professional game.
If you go to subreddit gaming, it's like half of that is like, I just be making this game.
Totally.
I'm like, so I just
and
saw
the game looked pretty good.
Yeah, I just saw today someone made like the Flash open world game. Granted, I think there's gonna be a lot of problems to make that game. But I'm like, hey, that looks cool.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool. It's the same with a lot of creative industries where the tools have gotten so accessible, so easy to use.
Yeah.
That more people can do it. I think there's a dark side to it where the easier the tools are to use, the more it devalues the actual work that goes into it because anyone can do it, which is good. But like even in like being a camera guy, it's never been easier to be a camera guy.
Yeah.
But that means that you don't have to be as good. So if you are good, you're just not valued in the same way.
Yeah, it's
going to be the same way with game dev where like it used to be you kind of have to be a brilliant coding mind.
Yeah.
And you would do it all yourself and make it all work. But now, like, you know, you can design. It's not that I'm not saying that making a game in Unity is easy. I'm not trying to say it's like automatic, but it is more easy for anyone to learn and do than ever before.
It's kind of like, you're kind of like in a, like on the fence there. It's like, oh, you're trying to, I'm take this with the nicest way possible. It's kind of like you're gatekeeping in a nice way to protect what was there.
Mm-hmm.
And also it's like, oh, this is not your salary. Let's just say you're getting like 100,000 US.
Mm-hmm.
Doing what you're doing, and by making it so accessible, I could just pay that other guy who's now undercutting me by $50,000.
Yeah,
and then now does that mean that your skills and abilities is worth as much as this guy?
Yeah,
and unfortunately enough, that the market will say yes.
Well, and it's so interesting seeing how AI has started to take people's jobs in different industries.
Yes,
in a not the order I expected.
Yeah,
I remember like. Automation has become a thing, and I love the idea of everything becoming easier for humans and us benefiting from the benefits of automation and AI and stuff. Unfortunately, the truth is we don't get to benefit. The rich people get to benefit more, and we're competing for these jobs instead of benefiting from people being able to do our jobs. But I am interested to see what the next victim of AI will be. Because I thought... Like, I didn't expect... Law was one of the ones that I was expecting that I had read was going to be the first to go. Because basically lawyers, what they do is they go through past cases and they find precedents and then they can cross-compare. Yeah. And they build a case based on precedent. Yeah. AI can fucking do that.
Honest to God, I'm in the same way. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know, I want AI to make everything
totally
and better. And some more humans out there could get like a good like job that they don't have to go into the coal mines anymore.
Yeah,
they don't have to.
Yeah, why would we need a coal mine when we can send a robot down to the coal mine?
I would love just to have like, yo, robot, farm me my food so all these 100 people can go to school.
Yeah, and like, I remember when the dream was AI was supposed to allow us to stop menial jobs so that we could be creative.
Yeah.
The problem is, AI is taking our fucking creative jobs. What the god fucking damn happened?
I had to use ChatGPT the other day because there was like something confusing about my visa application or my immigration. Was like, do I need this? Or when can I get my social security number?
Yeah.
And then I was waiting for my lawyer and I just got so tired I went to Google. And then the Google just does this Google things of like 1,000 articles and every other article disagrees. Useful. Yeah, disagrees the last one. So I went to ChatGPT. I'm like, hey, was I supposed to get my social security number with my visa? And he just goes, no. It's like, you can if it was applied during it. So I was like, oh, I'm kind of mad now, but because no one applied. But well, go, okay, how do I get one?
No.
And then it just like, it went, whoop, just go here. I'm like, dope. So honest to God, Microsoft, good job.
Well, and I am very anti like AI art, and the kind of the big discussion point is like fine art, like graphic design and stuff.
I am,
and I am very against it because, like on a moral level, it's just taking people's work and copy pasting and then adding refinements.
Yeah,
and that's a huge problem. If I'm not consenting to my work being used, you can't fucking use my work morally.
I think Marquez he did a video I think a couple months ago. No, he did. Yeah, now I remember. He made a really good point in it about that. And there was actually some art that the AI produced that you can obviously see a signature in the corner that's kind of like warped a little bit because the AI is just like...
Yeah, it's a warped brain.
So it's like, oh, that's kind of fucked up. Yeah, so I was just like, I'm already like, when he was like talking about it, because I watch all his videos, I'm like, yeah, that is kind of weird. And I was like, oh, I thought it was just like it was just like doing it on its own. That's
like
inspired.
there's supposed to be a signature. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but like, it seems like it's like, oh, let's take Picasso instead of sunflowers. Let's put roses.
Yeah.
So I'm like, ooh, is that copying?
Yeah. Well, I say all of this.
Yeah.
But there is a big but.
Yeah.
And the but, real ugly but, this unfortunately, is AI is here to stay. And we will be contending with AI art forever.
Yeah.
And we need to figure out both the ethics of it, but we also need to figure out how we can use it as a tool to make art better.
Yeah.
And we need part one again, we need to figure out the ethics of it, because it is not okay that it steals people's art to make its art. It's not making art. It's literally just like being a mix-up, mashup artist.
Yeah.
But I think there is useful applications that we can explore. And I think that on a pragmatic level, as individuals, we have to be realistic with how can we use AI to make ourselves more valuable and not try and compete directly with what has worked in the past versus what AI can produce now. Because that's not going to work.
I think it's in a way where it's like AI is so fast forward. Like, we're going to have these issues. Like, these issues were bound to happen. And it's kind of growing pains. And I think we're going to stumble a lot and we're going to figure it out. Granted, we're on a really close line of Skynet possibilities. Because ChatGPT, while how amazing it is, it freaks the shit out of me. But
and it's scary that like that is now like the next frontier of technology. Like Google is like has
Google's playing catch up to Microsoft now.
Yeah, Google has Bard now.
Yeah, I think that's a weird name.
I get what they're trying to go for. It's also a very non-threatening, like fun, cute name.
I mean, here's the problem with a bard is that it's a singer and storyteller that goes from town to town. It's a busker.
Oh, 100%. Well, and what's scary to me, like I said, is that AI is going to take creative jobs. Like Adobe is investing heavily into AI.
Yeah.
And it's going to be awesome, you know, as someone who uses Photoshop and Premiere, being able to use these tools that are going to be so much more sophisticated.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's going to make it that the bar of entry so low.
Yeah.
And the current skill set that I have as an old man is going to be devalued, and I'm going to have to learn, which is good. And that's going to be the key, is what you know now isn't going to be enough. You're going to have to grow and learn to utilize these skills to provide something unique.
Here's a kind of weird thing that will age us horribly.
Oh God.
Are we in that kind of realm where like the US Postal Service sees email rising?
Maybe. I like, full transparency, I am definitely, because of AI, that's a part of my calculus of like, is it time to make a career switch?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different places you can go, but it's scary because who the fuck knows what AI is going to take over next? Yeah. Like, ChatGPT can fucking code, dude. Like, who thought that coding was going to be the next thing that AI can do?
See, how I kind of look at it is that we are in that realm of like, we are the Postal Service watching email grow, or we're watching the horse trainer seeing automobiles starting to dominate the roads.
Yeah.
But I think too is that I think we really need to restrict AI to not be a replacement, but to be an assistant. So what I kind of look at it is that, okay, the manual jobs that we referred earlier is that we need to be like, someone needs to be highly trained.
Yeah.
Like, we'll take the current farmer going, fuck you, you're going to school, and we'll get all these robots to do it, and you maintain all these robots now. That's all you do.
Well, okay, I agree, but I also think that it's such a social issue where we are eliminating jobs and we're making it that like what people have done with the skill sets that they have no longer apply. But we're eventually going to run out of places for those people to go. Yeah. And we need to start looking at universal basic income. We need to start looking at like subsidizing people to live a good life, because we don't need them to do jobs anymore. We have robots to fucking do everything.
Yeah, no, that's my basis of my thought.
For sure.
It's just, as much as like I'm a capitalist and a business person, I see a value of universal basic income and also like universal healthcare, all these things. Because here's the thing is that universal basic income automatically technically becomes taxes that you get back. Yeah. And I will always look at that person with universal basic income or whatever, whoever comes to my shop, how do I not get $5 from you? How do I get $10 from you? Yeah. And it's universal basic income that, okay, the guy spends $10, I get taxes, then the government gets it back anyways. But then if I employ a robot to do the cash register person, or like even a self-checkout, tax me a bit more. I don't care.
Yeah.
Because in the net end, I'm still going to make way more money.
Well, and it's society is a challenging thing because I think when you sit most people down, you could come to a consensus about a lot of stuff. You want a society where people get to grow old, be happy, thrive, and people get to live their best lives. I think most people across the political spectrum would agree on that. They would just disagree on how you get there.
Yeah.
But as the future is controlled more and more by the technology and the powers that already hold the keys to that technology, there's going to be less and less possible avenues.
Yeah.
And I think it's scary to think that, we're just going to be struggling more and more. And I'm reading a book called Uninhabitable Earth right now, and we're really on a tangent. Let's go.
Let's go.
Where we have increased our productivity as a species tenfold or whatever. But in the last 20 to 30 years, basically all of our gained productivity has been counteracted by the productivity lost to global warming.
Yeah.
So every degree of global warming, we lose whatever GDP.
Yeah.
And so, we're producing more, but we're actually not producing more. We're just kind of breaking even. And that's so fucking scary.
Well,
I just assumed we're more productive than we've ever fucking been.
Yeah.
No, we're not. We're going back down because of global warming.
Since the discovery of oil is a good product for everything we do.
Well, and that's the reason why we advanced so far.
Yeah.
Because we had all of this energy unlocked to us.
We used a cheat code.
It's literally a fucking cheat code.
Yeah.
But we're now paying the price for the cheat code now.
Yeah. So it's like we're paying back the loan that we use. Like, oh, you have to pay X amount.
Yeah. It's like the earth had been conserving for millions and millions of years. Yeah. And then in 100 years, we're like, we'll spend it all.
Let's
spend it all.
Recession, baby.
Yeah.
Which is happening.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things where it's like people, I feel like they have a fundamental problem with change. And people have a fundamental need to suffer. It's like they need to struggle.
I think that it's an important character growing thing to face adversity. I don't think it has to be struggle. It can be defined in many different ways. I like the idea of adversity shaping people. And some of the smartest, most ambitious, and still kind and good people I know have faced a lot of adversity in their life. And that's what has allowed them to grow and be those people.
Yeah.
But the
only reason why I'm saying that is because I'm thinking about societies like Wall-E, right?
Mm-hmm.
The human society in that space cruise ship. They have no struggle. They have nothing. And they're just kind of wasting away.
Yeah.
So it's like, that is the definition of, if they struggled a little bit, they wouldn't be morbidly obese, and then they would kind of realize that they need to be outside of the fucking chairs.
Well, and it's a hard question because I think everyone is looking for their purpose. Yeah. Everyone's looking for a reason to get out of bed, looking for a reason to push themselves. And I think everyone would. That's why those Andrew Tate types are so appealing, is because they're like, there's a warrior inside of you, and you have to fight the battle, and they find that monkey part of your brain and reach in, and they're like, here's your purpose. And we're missing that with society. It's hard to find your purpose because
100%.
You're constantly told it's all coming to an end. It's all fucked. We're all screwed. And I find it takes a lot of self-reflection and growth to look inwards and be like, what am I here for?
I just say this to a lot of people, and unfortunate enough with the recent layoffs of Google or YouTube, is that I'm talking to a lot of people.
Who just laid off people today? Dell just laid off 7,000 people.
Yeah. So here's the thing: is this YouTube employee that was laid off. Mm-hmm. I'm talking to this person, and I'm kind of going through all the steps of being laid off because I've been laid off before.
Yeah, it sucks.
And it's like, I go, okay, first you're going to go through stages of grief. It's like when you lose or get laid off a job, it's like someone died.
Yeah.
And you're going to go through sadness, depression, anger, happiness, and acceptance, all those things. And then just let it happen. Mm-hmm. But also know this is coming. You're going to be very uncomfortable for a while.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If you try to find yourself being comfortable in unemployment, that's also very dangerous too. So I kind of was thinking about that today. And then back to my point of the struggle is, I think some people out there, especially the Andrew Tate types, is that they are not used to being uncomfortable. And they are just getting kind of spoon-fed this monkey stuff that appeals to them because they're like, oh, there's a reason why I am suffering.
Oh, totally.
And I am doing this. And therefore, they're very, very easily manipulated. I will say this, Andrew Tate, fuck you.
Yeah,
but
suck a fucking dick.
Yeah, I'm glad
enjoy
you're in jail.
prison.
I hope you
fucking half monkey brain.
Thank you, Romania. But it's just the fact that they're so... They found a group of people that feel comfortable.
Yeah, well, and I think that he sells a lot of that like simulated growth. Yeah. And I think that's why like self-help books and like, you know, the like unclutter your mind kind of things are so good, is because you get this dopamine rush as if you had done stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's like those people suck. And I don't... Let's save Andrew Tate stuff and that kind of stuff for another episode, because we've gone pretty far off topic.
Yeah, but
let's rate AI out of 10, 0.
Oh, gee, wait.
That's not true.
Yeah.
AIs can be cool. We just need to tackle the ethics of it.
Yeah, me talking about other one is something another. And okay, we're moving
coming
on.
back. We're coming back.
A game earlier you talked about that you and I both love.
Yeah.
The Last of Us 2.
Yes, got review bombed real hard.
Yeah, which was I think that's very unfair.
I think it hit like 3.5 or something at one point.
Well, I mean, we did the unboxing. Like you and I were like, we're gonna unbox this thing. It's gonna be fucking awesome. And then I was like, no, it's gonna be bad. And then we released it. We released that video. I remember being there, and I remember like going. I was trying to reassure you. I'm like, don't worry, it's not you.
It's just like the game.
It's a game, but that game should not have been review bombed.
No. Well, and I was talking to Adam about it semi-recently of like, it's a very divisive game, and the people that hate it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And it's a fucking awesome game. And there is definitely criticisms to be laid. It's a little bit messy. It's a little bit overreaching, especially kind of at the end. But I think what it achieves, it's fucking incredible.
It's a great cinematic story.
Totally. And like in terms of presentation, technical presentation, I think the gameplay is so much more refined than the first one.
Yeah.
But I also think like the thematic points that it makes are so salient.
It's so good.
So good. And we won't stick on it too far, but the hatred was, we're going to do early game 5-hour spoilers for The Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
Turn off if you are saving yourself for the season 2 or whatever.
If you are, well, what the hell?
So the big thing was when they killed Joel.
Yeah.
And so Joel is the beloved character, main character of the first game.
Yeah.
And you play as Ellie, which is, you know, the side, not the side character, the other main character in the first one.
Yeah.
And she's aged up 5 years, and they're living in this compound. And basically, due to the decision Joel makes at the end of the first one, people are coming after him.
Yeah.
And they find him, and this one character, Abby, brutally murders him with a golf club.
Yeah.
And that was the big reason why people were really upset. Was like, I don't want to like not have Joel. I don't want to have this. And it's really interesting to me how people have a strong reaction and don't know how to process it right.
Yeah.
Because the point is not to be like, oh, Joel, you're supposed to be fucking pissed. You're supposed to be like Ellie. Like, how the fuck could they kill Joel?
Yeah.
Fuck you. You don't understand.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the point of the whole game.
The whole game is about, I find it's when you look at it, like if you include 1 and 2 together.
Yeah.
The whole thing is about consequences.
Totally. The price of violence.
Yeah. It's a price of violence. Oh, like, things that you do, and then you get your comeuppance.
Yes.
And then it's just like, how do you break this cycle?
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think people wanted, and I think this is a big division I have in terms of critics versus audience. The audience thinks it knows what it wants.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't get it, it gets upset. And it's like, you often see audience with like even live service games with these proposals, and like, they wouldn't work, and it doesn't work. And like, it's a cool idea in theory, but it's impossible to implement. It's impossible to do this.
Yeah.
And in this case, people were like, I want another Joel and Ellie story. But it's like, actually, no, that story is told.
Yeah.
And like, you don't actually want that.
Yeah.
You shouldn't want that.
I mean,
you should want the next story.
Technically, you get a little bit throughout the whole Ellie experience.
Oh, totally. And I think the game actually does deliver really well on those warm moments. Like a minor spoiler for later in the game, they give you a flashback of like a warm, tender moment between Ellie and Joel.
The spaceship.
Yeah, and that's probably one of my favorite moments of the entire game.
Yeah.
And it's The Last of Us isn't about zombies. It's not about just suffering. It's about finding meaning and love in the face of the bleakest opponent that the human race has ever faced.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck global warming, fuck this. There's literally a deadly threat everywhere.
Yeah.
How do you find warmth and goodness and love in this world?
Yeah.
And that's like in that way, The Last of Us, both of them succeed hugely. And there's a huge price to be paid for finding that happiness and that love.
Yeah.
But people don't want to pay the price. They don't want to pay the price. They want the feelings, they want the familiar. And I am mad about that. So how do you rate that review bomb out of 5? 5 is
0.
Yeah, that's a 0 for me.
It's like, well, for me, I'm like, I think if people are upset with that game, you have to kind of reevaluate what you like as in media.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty inarguable that The Last of Us 2 is a work of art. Does a work of art mean infallible, perfect piece of media? No. But there is something said, and they say it with their fucking whole voice.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I kind of looked at, I can't look at Last of Us 2 as a separate game. It literally is like a part 2. If you played 1, you have to play 2. And if you played 2 before 1, whoa, you're high. But it's just
it's interesting though. I feel like when The Last of Us came out, The Last of Us was a complete story.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's a heavy story.
No, it's a good Joel story.
Yeah. And then, but I think you're right. Now that the second exists, that's the complete story.
Yeah.
But so we're both rating it a 0 out of 10. I'm going to rate it, it's when you include the complaints about Ellie being lesbian and the trans character, Levi. I can't remember the character's name, but the trans character, woke representation. And like
Was
making
there a
fun of
person?
Yeah. And Abby being all jacked and shit. Oh, they're just trying to be fucking diverse.
I don't understand. I never understood that.
That's a -1. That's a -1 on the justified scale.
Here's the fucking thing about, it's like, jack women. Not like in a world like that, I expect like more than like, I expect most people to be fairly jacked.
Well, and I feel like the game does a good justifying how she would have gotten the way. I mean, like where her people live, they live in a fucking sports stadium. Like they're in an arena, but she's also like, she has the rage.
Yeah.
And she exists to get revenge. And so like, yeah, she's going to be fucking yoked.
Yeah. Like, well, The Last of Us universe, the post-apocalyptic era. Women aren't going to wear push-up bras and stuff their bras or anything. They're worried about like, am I going to survive the next day?
Totally.
It's like, I just go, oh, Abby, cool.
Yeah.
It's like, that's all
I fucking love Abby. Yeah. I love The Last of Us 2. If you guys want to hear more, check out my video on The Last of Us 2. I go pretty deep into my thoughts on that.
I watch that video through and through.
I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
Okay, Star Wars Battlefront 2. You remember that rage?
Is it the one with the DLC microtransactions?
There was the microtransactions, but they did the loot boxes that had basically your power was contained within the upgrades you would get. So it was important to get, the upgrades that from the the upgrades were locked into the loot boxes. So your progression was you would get power-ups by buying loot boxes.
Yes. I played that game on launch. It had more problems than just the loot boxes, to be honest. Loading. They had the typical Battlefield problems that EA has. I actually didn't have that much of a problem with it.
The game or the
loot boxes too much.
Oh, interesting.
Because here's the thing is that when you actually look at the bonus that the loot boxes give you, it's very like diminishing returns. It's like, 5% increase of recharging X thing. And you're like, when you look at it, I'm like, oh, that's like an extra 3 seconds saved.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's not too bad. Or it's like, oh, you want to guarantee to be Yoda this game? Cool. You can pay for like get like a better chance of being Yoda.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I go, yeah, it's a problem. But to me, I thought it was overblown.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's 2 weeks in a row I've defended EA somehow.
Wow.
People have it out for EA and totally justified in a million ways because, they produce a lot of shitty yearly games.
Yeah.
And they're a big business, not interested in being your friend. They're there to take your money.
Yeah.
But I think people, when EA does something, it gets blown out a little bit more.
It's amplified.
I think what was especially bad was that it was the Reddit post, which is the most downvoted Reddit post of all time, when it was the marketing guy or whatever that made a post being like, oh, that sense of accomplishment or whatever they said. And everyone was like, fuck you.
Because, I kind of look at it because now I'm an older person now who at the time of being 15, 16, wished I was being an adult so I can have more time to play games, but now I'm an adult and I have like no time to play games now, is the fact that I don't have time to grind the shit out to get these bonuses anymore. So I am thankfully enough in a place where I make enough income that I could buy at the time $60 game and then dump $20 into it to be on par with some of these kids.
Yeah. I can agree to a certain extent of like, yeah, I can afford to spend the money. I tried not to. I'm trying to budget more where I have like, I think my budget is like $150 a month for gaming. That's Canadian. So that's a game.
That is
a game and a half.
That's not even 2 games.
No, it's a game and a half.
Yeah.
And that includes like hardware, and I do retro stuff. So it's pretty easy to go to a store and buy a game.
Yeah.
And that's it. And so I don't have it in my budget for microtransactions. And I mean, I've been susceptible. I've probably put in like $1,000, $2,000 in a Rainbow Six. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I played this really stupid zombie mobile game. I'm not proud of it. And I would put $80 into it.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's just literally just
so
dopamine.
Stupid.
It's just dopamine.
And you're just like, I want to be able to build this thing and I want it. And now when it's funny, Cassie's playing Dreamlight Valley, which is like the Disney Stardew Valley game. And she's really enjoying it.
Yeah.
And it's free on Game Pass. But then there's the upgraded versions that have, currency and cosmetics or whatever.
Yeah.
And we were going to buy it because she was interested. And then I saw it was on Game Pass. So I brought my PC to where she could play it. But she might play it enough that it would be worth it to upgrade. But I don't know.
It's here's the thing too, is that Jillian and I have this kind of weird thing too, is that especially if it's like free or anytime I play a game, we always kind of look at the financial sense, like how much time did I spend on that game? 60 hours, and how much was that? Oh, we got for $10, and then there's a DLC that makes it more enjoyable or it builds a story. Yeah, take my money.
See, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of the calculus as to why we get such these really boring fucking grindy open world games, because they know that we're thinking that way. We're like, oh, the game's 100 hours, $100, no problem.
Yeah.
I don't want those games. I want the 8 to 10 hour really tight experiences.
Yeah.
But I'll admit, it's harder for me to pay $100 for Dead Space than it will be for me to pay $100 for Breath of the Wild 2.
Or Last of Us Part 2.
And
part one.
Well, part 1, but that's slightly different because you already played it. But I'm trying to think of like a narrative, like I think Dead Space is a good example where it's like it's a 10, 12 hour game. If I play it through,
did you
I didn't buy it. I'm not going to buy it. But that's so it's I am totally hypocritical in the sense that that's what I want, but I don't see the $100 value in it.
Yeah,
and so. I just find
here's the thing is I do understand why people review bomb Battlefront 2. It's because it was like kind of like
bringing it back.
Yeah, it's sorry, I don't mean
good, good.
Yeah, it's just the fact that I know that was the kind of like the start of DLC and these loot boxes. Well, not like DLC.
More loot boxes being a really big thing.
Making game. No, here's
because Overwatch had loot boxes before that, but it was mostly cosmetic.
Yeah. No. Okay. Here's the better term: is that it's not DLC, it's not loot boxes, it's microtransactions to give you a boost in the game. So I understand why people were outraged because it's a change. But here's the problem with us video gamers: is that we go, don't pre-order. Don't do this. Don't do that. We fucking do it anyways. And they just continue to do it.
I don't pre-order. I will pre-order. Like I pre-ordered Ragnarok in the sense that the reviews had come out.
Yeah.
And if I pre-ordered, I got to preload. And so I was like, okay,
preload
2 days before it came out. I was like, I know I'm buying it.
Yeah.
I will buy it 2 days before it's out. So I can load it on my PS5 and play it the minute it's ready.
Is 2 days before even pre-ordering it anymore?
I don't think it was maybe like a week or something. I can't remember.
Because here's the thing: is that I pre-ordered. Okay, here's the reason. Riley would get really mad at me. But here's the reason why I pre-ordered: is that during E3, Best Buy would run a promotion. It is like, oh, pre-order all these games, and you can essentially get it down to every game. And this is in Canadian dollars. Is that this is where I think PS4. Yeah, this is when PS4 was kind of like really like the mainstream.
Okay.
In Canada, a game back then would cost you $60.
Oh God.
Yeah.
To go back.
Yeah. So at the pre-order day, you can get pretty much all the announced games for $40 if you order multiple games.
So each of them is $40.
Yeah. So I basically pre-ordered every game announced.
Wow.
And not to play, this is how my monkey brain works, is to not play all those games, but to resell those games.
What a business guy.
Yeah, so there was some games. I pre-ordered Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Wow.
Way when it was announced
Yep.
for $40. I bought 5 copies.
Jesus Christ.
So I made 5 different accounts.
Yeah.
And I just basically duplicated my order all the time. And I remember the fucking Best Buy guy would be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I just really like the game.
yeah. No, it's not the Best Buy guy, like the Canada Post guy.
Yeah.
It was just like, he would just get like 5 different packages.
5 different ones from Best Buy.
But it would all feel the same. He's like, is this cocaine? I'm like, no, it's just games. And I would just sell the 4 copies to get it. So yeah, anyways, that was a tangent. Wing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, Battlefront 2, I would give that a 2.
I'll give it a 3 because I was grateful that the outrage happened because it shifted the whole gaming landscape where it is not okay to lock upgrades behind a paid wall.
No, that's not good, but I understand why.
Yeah, I think like a game like Escape from Tarkov does a pretty good balance of like you can pretty much experience the whole thing with paying the base model, and the base model's cheap.
Yeah.
But hey, you want the extra storage, you want like to start with a little bit more.
Yeah.
You can pay for it.
Yeah.
And I started with the late, and this is important. If you have a base version, let me upgrade to the later version, the bigger versions later.
Can you?
You can with at least when I did it with Escape Tarkov, I bought the cheapest version because I wanted to play with you guys.
Yeah.
And then I fell in love with it, and I was like, I want all the
How come we don't
upgrades.
play anymore?
I don't play online games anymore. I'm just no time.
No, you can just we can play Tarkov.
No way.
We'll get Chase. No, Chase wants to play Streets of Tarkov.
Oh, it's true. There's a whole new map.
Yeah, new map. All right, let's go play that again.
Next one is when Metro Exodus and Borderlands 3 were review bombed for being exclusive to the Epic Store.
I don't care. That's fine.
What's your 0 to 5?
That's like
5.
That's like 0. I did not care about that.
That's a 0 1. And I feel like Epic's done a really good job changing people's opinion by giving people free games. And it shows you how cheap opinions really are, where it's like, hey, I got a free copy of Civ 5. I love you, Epic Game Store.
I just don't understand what the problem was. At least because I was like thinking as from a business aspect. It's like, oh no, a new launcher? When?
I think, I mean, I am pro competition because that Valve has been at the top and controlled way too much for too long. I'm anti extra launchers.
Yeah.
And I'm anti exclusive. And I think that's the thing that I was upset about. Yeah. I definitely didn't review. I've never review bombed anything.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a restaurant that I'm like fucking pissed about.
Actually, I was actually thinking about that today. That's actually Jillian and I were thinking about today because I was talking about we're going to talk about this topic. She's like,
I've review bombed U-Haul as well.
I mean, that's fucking U-Haul. But
they suck.
There was a restaurant. I'm kind of giving her my location, but I think a lot of people know I live in Surrey anyways.
Yep.
But there is
not for long.
Yeah, not for long. You know what H Mart was?
Yep.
So there was a Indian place that serves like $12.99 lunch.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So this is a huge tangent, but trust me, it relates. It relates. So we were waiting in line to go get the lunch buffet because it was like Jill and I were like, oh, before we move, we should try this place. We keep seeing it over and over.
Yeah.
So we got there at 3:00, and I didn't know this, but they didn't put any signs. And the lunch buffet is from 11:30 to 2:30. So no one told us this. We went in. We waited for like 15 minutes to get a seat, and it was weird because like there was like a bunch of tables empty.
Oh. And
she's like, "Yeah, we have to clean." I'm like, "Okay." So we waited, and then she sat us in. She goes, "Oh, dine in." I'm like, "Oh yeah, no takeout." We sat, and we're like, "Okay, cool. We're gonna go get our buffet on." And we go to the buffet area, and it's all empty, and we're like, "Oh, this is weird." And she goes, "Oh no, like buffet's over." I was like,
why didn't you tell me that?
Yeah, I was just like,
fuck.
And she's like, I told you that. Like, told you it's dine in. I'm like, yeah, us dining in. You did not.
Buffet,
yeah, you did not tell us that. And she's like, no. And she was like getting like ruder, like more rude every time. And she's like, do you want it like menu? I'm like, fuck no. So I left that, and Jillian and I like we haven't done it, but we are planning to review bomb that place. But I mean, I don't think that's a review bomb in the sense of
a review bomb is coordinating with a bunch of people to give negative reviews.
But yeah, so for me, definition of the whole thing, that's not a review bomb. It's me giving a negative review because I actually had a personal negative experience. And I think that's just like the whole topic is that I think for me, if anyone review bombs, you're not really doing yourself a good service, especially since I think if you are going to review something, you need to actually experience it.
Totally. You don't have to complete something. I don't believe you need, especially video games. Yeah. You don't need to complete it to have an opinion. Yeah. But you need to play it a little bit. Like to have your opinion, and especially a really strong one, be formed from secondhand and what you've read about it. Yeah. You have no opinion. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, I know this is like an e-commerce trick, is to let people give like easy star reviews without explaining why. I have a feeling if I was making a new website to sell something, I will not let someone review something unless they type at least 140 characters.
That'd be tough because you just wouldn't get many reviews. I think it would be better. Yeah. I agree. And I want to talk about ways to like capitulate against against review bombing. Yeah. But let's finish the list. Yeah. Okay, so when Warcraft 3 Reforged, which was the remaster, came out, it got review bombed because they totally lied about what it was going to be. Yeah. They showed trailers of like, showing like upgraded visuals and upgraded cinematics. They did none of it. It sucked. And then they removed access to the original. Really? Yeah. I think it was the lowest audience score I got, 0.5. It's the lowest one I could see. Yeah. And it was nice. I pre-ordered that game because I was really fucking excited about it.
No way.
Like a couple days before, because it was, I think, like a 25% off or something. I was like, fuck it. Yeah. And they freely offered refunds. They didn't even like, no questions asked. They're like, hey, you want a refund? And I was like, uh-huh. Yeah. And so 0 to 5, 0 being unjustified 5.
It's probably 0. I think here's the reason why. No, I say, no, sorry. I got that mixed up. I would give them 5. Yeah. Because here's the reason why I would go 5. Yep. They got rid of the original.
Yeah, that's the big, huge one.
It's the fact that if you're going to force people to play the new version, which is not really a new version. Yeah. Like, why get rid of the old one?
Yeah. It's very frustrating. Yeah. When they same with Sonic Origins did something like that, where they made it that you couldn't buy the old ways of like the episodes. You had to only buy the Origins collection. Really annoying. Yeah. Life is Strange being review bombed for featuring a flag of Tibet. So Chinese people being like, like zero not justified, 5 justified.
That's a 0.
That's a 0. Yeah. Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition.
No, that's a 5 for
that's
sure.
That's a 5. That one fucking sucked.
You know what? I feel so bad. Jillian bought that. Oh, no. She bought it 6 months later when they fixed most of them. Okay. So GTA 3 worked pretty well. Yep. Vice City was so bad. I heard it was really bad. So she got I think she got a refund. Okay. So it wasn't too bad, but it was definitely like, I don't know. Cause she was like talking about, I'm like, don't do it. Yeah. Don't do it.
Well, that's the kind of game where it really makes me sad for modding, because those games on PC, there is good mods and you can you can fix a lot of stuff and upgrade visuals.
There's a lot of great mods. I'm like, whoa, damn, that looks like GTA 5.
Yeah, but they wanted to resell it. They repackaged it, removed mod compatibility.
I mean, Rockstar's kind of in the rope of being
a little bit. And I mean, they have unlimited money because GTA prints money, and GTA Online prints money with very little involvement of them.
And I think Red Dead Redemption Online is doing not bad.
I don't think the online did super well. I think they shut that down.
Did he shut it down?
I think so. Oh. So I'll give that a 3, a 4. No, it was a big bummer.
It was a bit 5.
Be a 5? I'll go 4. Okay, Gran Turismo 7, when they changed it so that grinding, you had to grind way more to get cars. Basically, they fucked the economy with an update to make it that you had to buy with real currency.
I probably need Andy's on this, but just the whole context that you provided me of the changing the economy, it's a 5.
Yeah, totally justified. And then this one's an interesting one. Sonic Frontier got review bombed because Video Game Donkey, he did a negative review. Yeah. And then people were review bombing the game because of his negative review, but he said that it wasn't his fans, it was Sonic fans trying to make him look bad by review bombing.
No, it's definitely
their game.
Donkey. It's definitely so. Actually, that makes a really good point. Actually, I was wanted to point this out too. Is that those influencer led review bombing?
Yeah,
which is really bad and unfortunate because there was one game I think Firewatch did that against PewDiePie.
Yeah, and they did a copyright strike against him.
Yeah, which I think it's like
that's a bigger deal than
that's a big deal because that is directly to the influencer's bottom line.
Yeah,
but I think influencer led review bombing for that reason of getting copyright strike is not fair.
No, and it feels like bullying, especially when it's like a small indie game versus at the time the biggest YouTube creator.
I mean, he was like a 50 million at the time, 60 million.
Yeah. And I feel like that feels like a mob in the way that some of the other ones don't feel like a mob. Like for me, going up against EA and Star Wars Battlefront didn't feel like, mob mentality against EA. It was like everyone's really fucking pissed and we're gonna make it known.
That one felt like every time you go to like EA, Take-Two Interactive or anything, that's like the David and Goliath kind of move.
Totally. And it feels good to punch up and win.
So I mean, no offense to PewDiePie or Donkey, but you guys have to kind of realize you kind of led the mob into you led the mob to kill Frankenstein.
Yeah. 100%. So that's kind of what I had for gaming review bombing, but I'm interested to see what you think of movies and TV shows that critics reviewed really well and audiences hated.
Yeah.
We'll start with Ghostbusters. So 2016 Ghostbusters, which is the all-female cast one.
Oh, that was a terrible movie.
So you didn't like it?
Yeah.
I think it's okay.
I understand why it's okay, but there's some parts you're like, yikes.
Did you love the original?
No.
Okay. I like the original a lot. I think it's a little overblown from people from that era. I think it's a cool mix of tone that really somehow finds its balance and works really well.
I think it was cool because like in the 80s or early 90s, it was very different.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's weird because it takes Ghost seriously, but it's still a comedy, but it's still a good sci-fi.
Well, I mean like the last act, you're like, holy shit, like this got scary.
Totally.
Yeah. But yeah,
and so 2016, I think it leans a little too heavy into its meta thing. I think having, the villain be a incel who's commenting online in the same way that people were, it was kind of cute, but it was also like, that's the main villain of the movie. Yeah. This is a little heavy-handed.
And then the women's are like punching ghosts in the dick and everything. Like, here's the thing. I'm not against wokeness. Like, if women want to do that, like, it's fine. But I think it's just like, it's too on the nose. And like, when I watch that movie, I'm like, what did I come out of this? Are they commentating how women feel about their presence online and people commenting about them?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to remove the, corporate cynicism from viewing things like that, where clearly they're like, oh, we're going to reboot, insert franchise here with women.
Yeah.
And it sucks because like there's a really talented, very funny women.
Yeah.
And I think there's funny moments in the thing. And I laugh watching Ghostbusters 2016.
Yeah.
But then you can also see how it doesn't come together in the way that it probably should have.
Yeah, it does. I liked all the characters in it, except for who's Thor? What's his name?
Chris Hemsworth.
Oh,
you don't like? I like Chris Hemsworth.
I liked it, but here's the weird kind of thing: is that they kind of objectify him.
That's the point, I think, is like, that it's supposed to be like, hey, normally it'd be the hot woman character, but we got the hot dude character.
But then you get the incel objectifying them, and they didn't like that, so they will punch him in the dick.
I think that's like, it's one of those things where gender, we want equality, but we're so far from it that to poke fun at the inequalities is okay still.
Yeah.
And it's part of the pendulum swing towards what we kind of want.
I think for me, I would be more okay if that was a good movie.
Yeah, and I think like I would give it a 5.5. Like I'm not offended when I watched it. I was like, oh yeah. But the ending is really fucking messy.
I'll give it a 2.5.
Really?
Because the visuals weren't bad. It's kind of like an homage and they kind of do some good things. But
I think I laughed enough and I enjoyed some of the action enough. Same with like the Ocean's 8 reboot. Didn't hate it. I like that better than Ghostbusters.
Is that Ocean 6?
No, Ocean's 8 is so there was 11, 12, 13 was the George Clooney one.
Oh, yeah. I keep getting the numbers mixed up.
I like that I said George Clooney one, not George Clooney led.
The Sandra Bullock one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
No.
she's his sister, I think, so
Yeah.
it's the same universe. And that
liked
was
it.
pretty good.
Yeah.
But it was also like, you can just tell it's not a natural expression of someone's mind. It's a boardroom being like, what's a franchise we have that we could totally reboot with a bunch of badass women?
And I think everyone in that movie was good. I think just the story just fell flat to me.
Yeah.
I was just like, I want this, but I want a good followable story.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so another movie that the reason I have some of these on my list.
Wait. One thing. I have nothing against women movies because the last two were women movies. It's just that we look at it, they're not great movies.
And that's why I brought them up, is that they were reviewed decently well critically and did really poor with audience. And I think there is legitimate criticism, and this is always the hard part. There's legitimate criticism against this movie, and then there's bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's hard when it's us versus them, because we often move to, some of the people over there are saying some bullshit thing. That means everyone's saying bullshit things.
Yeah.
Instead of differentiating between that's a valid argument and the fucking incels that are like, oh, I hate women. Women aren't funny.
No, it's
bullshit.
Like I love Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah, she's super funny. Have you watched Spy?
Oh, Spy is the
fucking
best.
movie. I love that movie.
There was one part. It's
Same
like
with The Heat, buddy. Yeah.
Oh, I like The Heat. That's a good
movie.
No, I just like that one part in Spy. He's like, why are you crying? It's hot outside.
There's so much of that movie I love. Spy, if you guys have not watched Spy, that's one of the best comedies of the 2010s.
Oh, yeah.
It's fucking funny.
I love how Melissa McCarthy, this is super tangent. I love how she always casts her husband in everything.
Who's her husband?
Shoot.
We'll do a...
Yeah. What's his name? Not IMDb.
Ben Falcone?
Yeah, he's like that weird. He's always plays like that weird guy.
Okay. Yeah, I vaguely recognize him.
He's in Spy too. He's like
so it'd be like, I love how she always casts her husband Ben Falcone or Falcone or whatever.
Right, let me go. Yeah. I love how like she always like casts her husband Ben Falcone. Like he's always plays like that weird kind of character who's like a tourist. He's like in Spy, he's like the tourist that's lost going, oh, excuse me. Yeah. And then I think in Bridesmaid, he's in there too. And he's that other federal agent.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So like there's always like those kind of like things. But yeah, I just love that duo. It's so good.
Fair enough. Okay. So another women-led movie that critics thought was pretty good and audiences hated. Captain Marvel. What are your thoughts on Captain Marvel?
I think it was fine.
I thought it was fine too. Yeah. I think it's the fault is definitely not Brie Larson or LaShonda Lynch. It's the writing. It's just kind of bland. Yeah. And like they didn't really know which direction to take her character. Like they sort of write her as stoic but still kind of Marvel snarky, and she kind of just lands somewhere in the middle. Yeah. Also the plot of her, having amnesia and slowly remembering that Jude Law sucks.
It just oh, poor Jude Law. Yeah. Like everything about her, like for me, she's the perfect Captain Marvel. Like,
I think she's great.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Yeah. The movie is much better than Thor 1, Thor 2, and Thor 4.
I don't think it's better than Thor 4, but definitely 1 and 2.
Yeah, 1 and 2 is bad. Better than Iron Man 2.
It's about the same for me.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like Iron Man 2.
Yeah. It is, I don't know. The movie's fine. Like,
it's fine.
It's good. It's a good movie to propel and introduce a new character.
And that's another one where the review bombs were in big part because of the incel dudes, because she spoke out against like, oh, there's enough like white male critics, like we want other people, and people took a lot of what she said, which was like, powerful feminist stuff. Yeah, maybe slightly mistaken, maybe not. Yeah, but they ran with it and they got mad at her, and then they got mad against the movie.
I know.
And then the legitimate, hey, this movie's kind of bland, criticisms got mixed in with the fucking incel bullshit. Yeah, and then it became like what is this movie? Yeah, and then it got review bombed.
Yeah, because for me, Brie Larson, I have like huge Hollywood crush on her ever since Scott Pilgrim. Yeah, she's so talented.
Yeah, or I think 21 Jump Street. Although that
was she?
She's like the love interest in 21.
Oh yeah.
Although it's always so weird because Jonah Hill is a 25-year-old police officer and undercover in high school, and he falls in love with this 17, 18-year-old girl.
I think she's 18.
Yeah, but
it's weird. No,
it's not okay.
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying it's okay. Yeah. But yeah, anyways.
Did you watch the Watchmen TV show?
No.
So that one I think is pretty good.
Yeah.
I would probably give it a high 7. I don't think it's as good as some people say. I think this ending is really clumsy. Spoilers for the Watchmen show. Do you care?
No, I don't care.
So it's set way later than the comic book / movie.
So it's like in the 90s?
So it's modern day.
Oh.
And so like things have happened, and there's still superheroes, but it's like dark and shit. But basically there's like a politician who is, not so secretly a white supremacist, and he's trying to like make whites. I think it's been a while trying to make a white supremacist superhero or some shit. I can't remember.
Is he kind of like the White Dragon from Peacemaker?
Kind of. Yeah. But the thing that people really latched onto was that the legacy of Rorschach, who is, a really cool character in the original, kind of problematic. They latched onto the fact that according to them, they've retconned him to being an incel, like right-wing icon, libertarian. They're like more like a right-wing icon, conservative icon.
Yeah.
And so in the show, it's kind of criticism of what Rorschach was.
Oh.
And there's like a movement of like, evil right-wing white supremacist people that idolize him.
Yeah.
And what do you think? Do you think that Rorschach is sufficiently criticized in the original source material, or do you think that it's like, and you think that it's valid to be upset that they push it so far, or do you think that like he is, a fucking kind of problematic figure?
he is problematic. Like the general, like every single character in the Watchmen is flawed. They're super flawed.
Super flawed. And that's the point.
Yeah. So Rorschach, if you're gonna go like D&D rules, like character type, he's chaotic, lawful to a point.
I don't think I think chaotic to lawful is one dimension, and then good to evil is one. So it'd have to be.
Oh, sorry. Chaotic. Oh no, he's
chaotic
lawfully.
He's chaotic for sure.
He's chaotic.
Neutral.
Good. He's chaotic good because he used to be very neutral to start. Because I remember reading the comic book as a kid. I should not have read that comic book as a kid.
Dark.
But yeah, like all to a point, he's like base enough. They try to make him Batman.
Yeah, he's uncompromising the Batman.
Yeah, without most of the gadgets.
Yeah.
So basically enough, at that point when I think I blocked this part of my mind when he sees that like that guy who butchers his wife or his kid, he just kind of snapped. And he kind of like, I'm not going to wait for the law. I'm going to take the law in my own hands, and just becomes like that vigilante where you kind of root for him.
Yeah.
But you kind of have to think about it. You're like, ooh, is that actually right?
Yeah.
Because like, yes, that man committed a really horrible, horrific crime, but does that give you the right to kill him?
And it's something I honestly have to tackle with is vigilante justice. It's like, no, we shouldn't have it because it's too dangerous. Who gets to decide?
Yeah.
But, would the world be better? But it's interesting because I think the movie, it's been a while since I've read the graphic novel.
Yeah.
I'm more recently fresh on the movie. I feel like the movie praises him, but also recognizes he's a broken dude.
No, he's 100% broken dude because you can see him after that point when he kind of starts devolving to that sense of just being just like good.
Yeah.
Like quote, like in the movie, he like says like, "Oh, I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me," and he like fucks people up.
Yeah.
And his personal hygiene suffers. His mentality is just like gone. And then, in the end, he kind of redeems himself. He's like, "I'm gonna expose you," and all that stuff.
I love that moral dilemma where Ozymandias knows that Rorschach is uncompromising and will expose it, even though maybe this move is for the greater good of the world.
Yeah.
And so he has to kill him.
Yeah.
Rorschach,
he doesn't know. Dr. Manhattan kills him.
Oh, yeah. Because Dr. Manhattan believes in it? Or
because Dr. Manhattan has lost all his humanity.
But he recognizes that, like, objectively,
logically,
Ozymandias' plan is great.
I will kill millions to save billions.
Yes. And that's a great moral dilemma.
Yeah.
But and Rorschach knows, he's like, yeah, I'm not going to compromise. I'm going to do that. And good for him for sticking to it to the end. But it's also, I absolutely do believe, even though maybe he's not presented as a conservative right-wing icon, I can absolutely see how like those Punisher pin-wearing types would flock to that iconography and be like, oh, no matter what, I'll die fighting for what I believe in, and I'll kill for what I believe in.
It's kind of happening right now.
100%.
Yeah.
And so I understand. I think that the show does a pretty decent job justifying why like people maybe misinterpret Rorschach. Maybe Rorschach wasn't the problem, but the way people see what he did.
He
is
never wanted to
problematic.
be an icon anyway.
Well, no, he just wanted to do the kind of justice he believed in.
Yeah.
So to reverse now, let's go opposite side where things got really low reviews, but then found big success with audiences.
Ooh.
So one is Uncharted movie. You watch an Uncharted movie?
Yeah, no. We had that Christmas thing.
Oh yeah.
Now thinking about it, because I watched part of it on Prime.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's fine.
It's totally fine. I just replayed Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy.
Oh, really?
They're great.
No, Lost Legacy?
That's the like sides. No. That's the like expansion, but like standalone expansion. I guess.
Yeah.
They're both very good. Lost Legacy, I think, holds up slightly better. Fuck, man, they look really good on PS5.
Yeah.
But there's a few moments where you're like, oh, we don't make games like this anymore for a reason.
Yeah.
But the movie is okay. It doesn't capture the spirit of the game to me.
Here's the problem with the movie is that they took too many elements from the first 3 games.
And 4. There's some elements from 4.
Is there 4?
Well, like the pirate ship and shit, like in the cave. That's like iconography.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But yeah.
They took too many elements. It's like you just pick a lane, dude.
Yeah. And I think that you can tell they didn't have confidence in any of the stories that, like you said, they have to kind of pull from all of it and make this one super story.
Honestly, it's like, just give me the first one with like Nazi zombies. That's dope.
Yeah.
But I think here's the biggest problem. They should not have Marky Mark in that movie. He had no business in that movie.
Well, so my theory, and I talked about it on the Carpool Critics podcast, my theory is they had signed him to be Nathan Drake 10 years ago.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so he was going to be the Nathan Drake when it was the original version of the movie, and then it got caught in development hell, took 10 years, and then they're like, and then they got Tom Holland to be Nathan Drake, young Drake, and they're like, we already have a pretty big fucking star signed on. Let's keep him. What role works? Sully. He should have been Sam Drake, man. As Nathan Drake's brother, it would have been like, okay, he's a little bit too old, but
I'm fine with Tom Holland being Nathan.
Yeah, young Nathan.
Yeah, it's fine. That'd be pretty cool. Him being Sam Drake. That'd be really cool. Because like Marky Mark, he can kind of like be evil. Like you don't know. And here's the perfect Sully. Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, he would have been fucking amazing.
Yeah, so like if you had those 3, I'd be like, this is dope. Like that would be like, I would have just been like, hell yeah, no one can convince me this movie sucks.
Yeah, it would have been great.
Yeah, and then I think you just have Nolan North. Oh no, he had a cameo.
I don't want to talk too long about the Uncharted movie because nobody fucking cares anymore.
Yeah. Uncharted's great.
Yeah. What about the Jurassic World movies? Are movies that reviewed poorly, audiences reviewed poorly, but it made a fuck ton of money. Why are people watching Jurassic World movies?
Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
And Bryce Dallas Howard, she's great.
Okay.
She's good. I like the first 2. I did not watch the third one yet.
I haven't watched it. I don't plan on watching the third one.
Yeah.
Here's one that is really interesting to me because it was one of the first really big Netflix movies, and that's Will Smith and Joel Edgerton in Bright.
I love that movie. That was great.
You loved it, hey?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about what works for you.
Okay, you know what? I think here's the reason why. I grew up on fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love the stories of like elves and fairies and dragons and orcs. I love all that. And then I was like, oh, they brought it into like LA, modern, like true modern times.
Yeah.
Like if I never knew what fantasy was, this is what I would think. And I think it's also ironic they kind of treated orcs as, I'm trying to be PC as possible. They treat orcs as like black people.
Yes.
Like I'm sorry. I'm just going to say what it is, like how they treat orcs in the movie. They treat them like scum of the earth.
Yeah.
And you're bad and you're a bad guy.
Yeah, they're hated and
by a black guy.
Yeah.
Which is very kind of ironic.
I think it kind of helps make the point. Mm-hmm. But the orcs are sort of like the people of color, downtrodden, and Joel Edgerton's character, who's like, the police orc, he's the first police orc. Yeah. And people are like, oh, you can't be a police orc. Orcs are evil. Yeah. And then there's like the elves that are like the rich people. Yeah. They're so pretty and like they're so privileged. Yeah. And I like that setup, but the acting in the movie is like just weird. It's like when they get the magic staff that can grant a wish or whatever. And I remember,
Yeah.
I can remember specifically when the cops are like, "What do we do? What do we do?" And they huddle around, and it's
Yeah.
like such a weird, like stilted.
No,
scene.
I mean, I think they're kind of like trying to do equivalents of like, oh, we have like $1 million here. What do we
Yeah.
do? So it has like that. It definitely has room for improvement.
Yeah.
But yeah, I found like I was like really hoping to make like a true sequel, but they made a stupid animated sequel.
I've heard that they are gonna make a sequel because it made a lot of money. It was very successful, and audiences really rated it high. It has like 25% on Rotten Tomatoes, but like an 80% audience rating.
I think it was just like I think to me it's like the world was interesting enough that it outweighed Will Smith, and I think
I don't think he was the problem. Though.
No, I mean it's not the fact that it's like Will Smith's a problem. I think it's like it's just maybe I'll take that back. It's like he wasn't the problem. He was actually pretty good in the movie. Like he was really like the good mentor, even though he didn't like the work.
No, yeah, he's like the reluctant, guy who's realizing his racism is unjustified.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big trope of movies, like Green Book too. It's like, and it's surprising that it's still told in today where it's like, oh, I'm a racist, but like, I'm not the worst racist. And then you kind of like, you get put beside someone who's suffering discrimination, and like through being beside that person, they realize, hey, maybe orcs aren't so bad. Or
yeah.
Like,
so it was, I think it was an interesting play on it. Cause like Will Smith gets to play a quote unquote white guy.
Yeah.
Instead of being the black guy.
Yeah.
Like I think he was 13 years. No, he wasn't. What movie was he a slave?
That just came out. That's like the Apple TV.
Yeah.
movie. I haven't watched that.
Yeah.
That movie doesn't look good. I haven't heard good things, and if I haven't heard that Will Smith did a good performance, I feel like that means that he didn't do a good performance. Because we heard all about it after King Richard.
Yeah.
Last things is, do you think if you could only pick one, either audience reviews or critic reviews, which one would you pick and why?
I will still go with critics reviews. Just for the fact that it's a number I can count on.
Mm-hmm.
Audience, just like we kind of said before, it could be mob led.
Yeah.
People could just be hurt about some sort of LGBTQIA plus. People can be just like, oh, there's like a gay relationship and I don't like that. Therefore, this is bad.
Yeah.
And it's so, their criticisms is so dynamic that it's unreliable.
Totally. I would have to, if I could only pick one, I would pick critic reviews because their only objective is to give you a review.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe, there's a couple shitty ones that have bad takes or whatever, but generally they're trying to give you what their opinion is. The thing that we don't talk about is often the people that are selected to review a game from an outlet are probably people that are predisposed to like it, or even just like how important an editor's influence on a review is. Like, let's say you're an IGN manager and you're like, oh man, I really love Zelda. I better make sure that the Zelda review is written by someone who also loves the Zelda, instead of choosing someone doesn't like Zelda to write it. Like you have the power to choose who does it. And there is definitely ways to, game the system and do that stuff. But this is not an option, but I would rather not have scores, and I would rather just have like written reviews or just videos and be able to like get the information in a real way.
Yeah. I think when we're kind of going back to your point, like, let me just do 2 points here, is that, going back to like the Zelda, I would never get someone who doesn't like Zelda to review a Zelda game, just for the fact that that person will not appreciate what Zelda is. And then also he probably does not know or have played the previous Zeldas to make that kind of comparison. Well,
that's what's tough is I think ideally you get 3 people to review every game. You get someone who loves it, someone who hates it, and somewhere in the middle. And then you get a good broad perspective, because maybe the person who loves it has all these specific criticisms about things they've changed and they hate it. Or maybe the person who hated it loves it because, they fixed all these things that they've hated in the past. Or, maybe opposite. And I love getting a bunch of context. And I think that's always the key, is being reminded that as an audience, the critics have a context in which they're reviewing a game. They might have only had a small amount of time, not enough time to experience all the bugs you're going to, or, they had to like smash through it, so they're missing all the side content.
Yeah.
Or, they're told this is the game with an asterisk. It's pre-release. These things are going to be fixed.
Yeah.
Or, even on a more subtle level, before any other reviews comes out, there's like a context that's missing to the review.
Yeah.
They're going to have a totally different experience than you are. And so it's important for you not to look at numbers. The numbers mean fucking nothing. It's important to look at the information that they're providing.
I really miss this review guide. I can't remember what the channel was, just for context, if you're interested in finding out. It was run by a guy who played that trampoline basketball slam ball.
Oh,
yeah. So if you're listeners, if you want to find out what I'm talking about, go right ahead. But I love the reviews because they only had 3 categories. Not 3 categories, 3 ratings to the end.
Okay.
Don't buy it, rent it, and
buy
it, rent, don't buy it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Granted, you can't really rent things anymore.
No.
So, I mean, that's why I always go is like, if C said buy it, it's a game to play.
Yeah.
Rent it is like, try it.
Yeah.
And then don't buy is obviously.
Well, and I find movie reviews are different for me than game reviews. Movie reviews, I'm going to look at my perfect system of looking at Rotten Tomatoes and an audience, and then IMDb and Metacritic, and finding what that all means and how they cross a line and stuff. But for games, I don't really look at reviews. Like, yeah, sure, I'll look at the Metacritic and be like, wow, holy shit, that has like an 89%, or like, oh, it's only 60%. Okay. But really, I feel like I look at more influencers.
Yeah.
And like people that I know and that have similar opinions, and I like the content that they're making.
Yeah.
And I wonder, I've been having this thought. There's a lot of academic study of movies, and I think that's how kind of film criticism really thrived. Was, you go to film school and you're not good enough to make movies, so you become a film critic. That's not necessarily universally true.
Yeah.
But so there's like an academic study of, the themes and the ideas and the technical execution.
Yeah.
Whereas, yes, you can go to school for video games, but there's not that many people that go to school for video games and then end up being a critic. Being a critic feels like a very natural thing. Like I feel like I could become a film critic because I've been to film school, but you could also become a film critic without it. But I feel like people have these, I feel like there's less academic study of video game criticism.
Yeah.
Like there's less.
I was thinking about this the other day. Is that also like additional kind of content of why video games and TV shows are different, especially adaptations, is I think the point of attention is way different. You're going to pay attention 10 times more in a video game than a movie because you're just kind of in a roller coaster experiencing things. With a video game, you're always going to be checking what's going to kill you or eliminate you in a game, so you're going to be more attentive.
I think that's very true. I think that one advantage movies have is that they have a much more strong editorial voice as to what you're looking at. At any point, they're 100% in control of what your frame will be. So for 2 hours, every image that's flashing into your eyes
100%.
is 100% control. Whereas a video game, it's a lot. You have a lot of agency as a player to tell the story, like to communicate the story that they're telling to you.
Because it's like things that you do, like, for example, this is the worst game to ever bring up, like Saint Row.
Okay.
And then
sure.
It's like, you have to cut scene, you made your character, but he has a big penis hat.
Yeah.
So like it really breaks the storytelling.
Totally.
Because you see this guy goes, haha, I have a big penis hat. And you're like, oh. So like that's the kind of like difference is that like with movies, you basically will be taken to this journey.
Yeah.
You're just experiencing it. But with video games, do you have the kind of similar experience in cutscenes? But in the gameplay, you can be like that guy who's like, yeah, I got like a triple headshot. And you're going to be paying attention to that instead of like, oh, I'm saving that girl because those 3 guys were there.
Well, and there's a lot of video games that their primary intent isn't storytelling.
Yeah.
There can be a story, there can be a world, but like even, Metroid Dread or something, it's like it has a story, it has an interesting world and great lore, but the primary point to play it is fun. And the primary point is like the experience.
Yeah.
Whereas, compared to Last of Us or Uncharted or something where the whole point is that it's a movie that you're playing. But I think the level of storytelling control goes so far as like you are the camera operator in a video game. Like you choose the camera angles as you're playing. Like I find myself sometimes when I'm playing, a really good looking game or a cinematic game, I will purposefully like walk around a corner really slow and slowly move the camera so that it's like more cinematic and give myself that experience because, I'm the camera operator and I get to do that for myself.
So, I mean, like that's the kind of thing is that it's in a big kind of sandbox world. So I think it's going to be like, if there is a school for video game critics, it's going to be immensely hard. Like, because my experience with my experience with one game, and we played the same game, we can go, oh yeah, did you like do this? And like, oh no, I did like this. Especially like game of Last of Us 2, where you can have different ways. You're like, oh, I'm just going to shotgun everyone in the face, or I'm going to be stealthy and unlock the clickers here and they kill everyone for me. It's such a different experience.
Totally. And I think that's a huge part of it, where everyone's experience is a little bit different. I also think that game journalism coming to prominence in an era where content quality isn't important and content quantity is, where every website has to have every game covered, means that not all your writers can be really good writers who are digging deeper into what the games mean or what the game systems do. And they're just giving you the bare minimum because they have to produce 7 articles a week or whatever.
Exactly. Especially in a world where in games today, you have the AAA games, the big releases of the year, but then you have like every AAA game, there's 100 indie games you have to review.
100%. And like the main journalists that are doing, like the 6-minute reviews or whatever on YouTube, and the ones that are doing written, there's no time, there's no place. I totally appreciate all the people that go deep in their hour-long video essays on YouTube, but there's this like, I feel like there's a lack of this middle ground of these succinct but really thoughtful and insightful reviews. I find maybe you guys, audience, let me know if you find not like a creator you like because of their personality or that, but like someone who really does the deep analysis in a short span, or like has a really good discussion in a small amount of minutes. Because I know a lot of good video essayists, but it's like I don't always want to watch 3-hour-long breakdowns of entire series. I want like someone who gets to the point, or like even like every frame of painting, or Nerd Writer, like people that do really specific breakdowns of theory or ideas in a movie, but for video games succinctly. Is there people that do that?
I think the closest one to me that I enjoy, that I can consistently go, I haven't watched him for a while, but if I went back to him, I would probably enjoy his content. Granted, grain of salt, it's old games, is Angry Video Game Nerd. He does a very good job of conveying opinion about the games he's playing. Granted, those games are very, very simple.
I love his content. I really enjoyed it. I've watched probably most of the videos, but that's not quite what I want. I want someone who, is, and this is going to be really pretentious of me, but is intellectualizing video games. Like someone, this is a terrible example, but the example I always use for how video games can tell stories uniquely is BioShock, where the would you kindly moment, spoilers for BioShock. What happens is, you play the whole game, you meet this person, I can't remember his name.
Andrew Ryan.
No, Andrew Ryan's the full villain, but you get someone over the radio who's got this Irish accent or whatever.
Oh, that guy.
And he's giving you advice like, oh, you should go do this. But he always says, would you kindly do this? Would you kindly do that? And it's revealed to you probably through the game that would you kindly is your code word that you're programmed to obey.
Yeah.
And it's this moment of like weird meta narrative where as a player, you don't have a choice. If you don't listen to would you kindly, you don't get to play the game. And so you, as a player, are kind of a slave to the phrase. And it's this really clever meta narrative moment that won't work in a movie, won't work in a TV show. And it's really, really clever. And there's people that have broken down that moment because, someone talked about it, or we all experienced it. It's cool. But I want more breakdowns of like stuff like that, of meta narrative analysis and, thematic breakdown and stuff that makes me appreciate the writing and creative, design of video games.
It seems like you're trying to get like people who do those like TV show video essays or movie video essays into that format. It's almost to me like, is that possible? Like, is it like fitting a in a peg in a square hole or that
maybe
kind of situation?
I remember very specifically, it's probably a video essay a lot of people have seen, but it's like why Edgar Wright comedies are so much better than other ones. And it's basically a breakdown of like how visual comedy is important. And like, we've lost that art because, lowest common denominator. And I want someone to make it like, why, fucking Naughty Dog, their games are better than other people's games. Like, what are the specific things that they're doing that are doing, and like maybe I have to make this content. Maybe and I want to like break down like like how they're leading your eye with perspective and leading lines and like color to like make you experience things as they want. I'm sad that content doesn't exist. These really deep, insightful breakdowns with a ton of knowledge. And that's what's hard is that that knowledge on the theory of storycraft, but also game design that I do not know.
Actually, thinking about it, I think the closest person to that kind of analysis, granted, I'm basing this because he was the film producer on Polygon, is Brian David Gilbert.
Brian David Gilbert.
Yeah. He, I can't remember any video games he did cover, but he did a really good job on the Halo novel series.
Okay.
That was really good. And I think he's a gamer. I think he is. But yeah, I think he'll be your closest thing because he does like a really deep dive analysis on the Halo book series.
Oh, that's cool.
That was like, oh, that's like video game-esque.
Yeah.
And then now he's branched off his own. He's doing kind of random content, but maybe check out like his Polygon stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will check him out. Audience, if you know someone, I don't want to hear your favorite video essayist that you like. I want someone that is like the nerd writer or like Every Frame of Painting, but for video games. If that doesn't exist, give me money and I'll do it.
Yeah. So I think I just want to sum it up. So we both agree that if we're going to follow a critic, we'll follow the professional one.
If we're going to choose one, I think the audience rating definitely gives me perspective. I've seen a lot of movies. I think last one I watched was Supernatural or like Extraordinary. It was some British indie movie about a lady who has a sensitivity to ghosts or whatever, and she gets pulled into like the occult, and it's this big thing. And the audience or the critic reviews were like 95%, but the audience rating. Well, I got excited about it when it was only critic reviews.
Yeah.
And then it was one of those ones that was like stuck in festivals or wasn't available. And when I eventually was able to see it, the audience review was like 40% and the critic one was 95%. And I was like, huh.
Yeah.
I was so excited to see it anyway because the trailer was hilarious and I watched it. And it fell right into line with what I expect based on that divergence is it's clever and there's cool stuff and like, it's good, but it's kind of boring.
Yeah, I kind of wish critics aren't friends because sometimes like critic friends will kind of influence everyone. So that could be it because like my kind of experience with that, from at least on the movie side, would be Rogue One. I thought that movie was not as good as everyone said it was.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
That movie's so overrated. Sorry, Star Wars fans. It's fine.
It's
the characters kind of suck.
Yeah. Everyone's kind of boring. It's like,
last 30 minutes is fucking awesome, though. I will give it that.
Oh, no, the beach stuff? I was like, that's all good. And then I think you already said The Last Jedi. That was like, oh, 90%. Is that the second one or the third one?
That's the second.
Second one, yeah. That one's like 95%.
So that was a hugely high critic rating.
Yeah.
Very low audience rating.
Like, there's definitely parts of it. And I'm like, oh, like everything shot well. Everything felt well. It just was like, oh, that's it.
See, I'm a staunch Last Jedi devotee. Yeah. And I'm exhausted from the talking of it. But I think that some of the moments in The Last Jedi are some of the heights. I mean, there's a pretty low bar. Definitely some of the heights of the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
But some of the heights of Star Wars for me. Like,
really?
It is the best Jedi moment. I will have to fight because I'm saying these words.
Yeah.
The greatest Jedi moment in any of the movies is Luke Skywalker using pacifism to beat the fucking Empire. He doesn't fight. He shows a projection of himself. He uses his Jedi abilities for non-violence and defeats the Empire. That's a fucking perfect Jedi moment.
Because he made him look bad.
Yeah, and he broke Kylo Ren. He defeated them and allowed the rebels to escape.
Yeah.
Some of the rebel escape stuff's a little bit dumb. I totally see a lot of the flaws of that movie.
Yeah. But
that moment is fucking awesome. Yeah. And it's powerful.
Yeah. I think my only kind of problem with that movie, if we're super terrible, going fucking Star Wars every time.
Yeah.
And
we don't talk Star Wars often, so I'm indulging.
Yeah. So I think it's just a moment of like seeing all those walkers shoot and it seems like Luke Skywalker is like blocking, like, yeah, motherfucker. Yeah. It's like, let's go. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, he's not there. Fuck.
See, I think that's like the most brilliant thing because you just assume, oh, he's a Jedi, he's blocking everything.
Yeah.
No, he just outsmarted them so simply.
Yeah.
I think I have complex feelings about, him disappearing into the Force after.
Yeah.
I also think I was fine with that.
Yeah.
I also think the moment when Kylo Ren kills Snoke and then they fight together against that Empire was fucking awesome. And valid criticism is, you know, like, is Snoke a real villain? I think there was plans for Snoke. Rian Johnson had a plan for Snoke, you know, bigger, because he looked like he had died and come back before, like based on his scars and shit. But they erased that in the sequel. But everyone always criticizes the fucking fight, being like, well, you can see the stunt guys like idling.
Yeah.
You don't normally give a fuck about that. That's in every fucking group fight ever.
So here's the problem, is that if people want to criticize that, criticize the raid.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Criticize every fight movie ever.
Yeah, like you watch the raid, it's all like, oh, because we're doing a lot of cuts. Make sure you're waving your arms really fast.
Yeah.
I love the raid because it's just like intense awesomeness.
One of my favorites.
But it's like, I'm not concentrating on the guys in the back. I'm fucking watching Ren. I'm watching like whatever, like the two guys fighting. I don't give a shit. They're just moving because they're like, oh, like, we can't just like stand still.
100%. And we've circled around again. We did it.
Yeah.
On why audience reviews are kind of shitty. Because we have this modern hyper focus due to, like, you know, cinema sins and shitty video essays that focus in on like nitpicks.
Yeah.
And we blow them so fucking far out of proportion. Yeah. Whereas like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, nobody noticed them because they don't fucking matter.
Yeah.
And like, instead we're constantly looking for things to be hyper realistic, hyper believable. And we've totally lost, you know, the ability to just enjoy things. And
100%.
Filmmakers are so afraid of reaching out and making bigger, weirder, wilder things because they don't fit into the box that won't be criticized by cinema sins.
Yeah. Let me just do this, like, based on that example, right? So let's just say Jurassic Park, the first one, came out now. Right?
Yeah.
Still was amazing. It's great. Yeah. Everyone loves it. Here's an example of what would happen right now because of the culture that we're in and everyone's fucking nitpicking.
Yeah.
They will nitpick that scene where the kid gets electrocuted a different different times.
How it would happen.
It's like, we're going to get Veritasium. It's going to be like, oh, can a kid really like jump that far out?
Yeah. No.
There? Oh, it's like, you're going to have Mr. Beast going, would you hold this wire for $1 million? Like, you would have like that scene depicted and nitpick and dissect.
Well, and you would get
times.
like 17 videos of fucking people breaking down on how Jurassic Park could never happen. This doesn't make any sense. And it's like, no, it fucking doesn't. But it's interesting idea to do with sci-fi. It's the hubris of science. Like the whole point is this discussion.
It's like, I can see the title, Spielberg got it wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's the feathers?
Yeah, exactly. And so I think there is valid criticism in, you know, movies being so outlandish that they're not believable. Because there's a difference between realism and believable.
Yeah.
And I think realism doesn't matter, believable does. And I think that there's valid points to things being totally outlandish and ridiculous. Yeah. But I think we've hyper fixated on realism. Yeah. And it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. Because I just fact too, it's like, you know,
also, let me finish my point. Sorry. I think also, this is going to get me in trouble with people. I'm so sorry if you're mad about this. We are all influenced by the media that we partake in, and you probably don't realize how much of your opinion is shaped by a creator or an article you read.
No, 100%.
And like, you think that that's your opinion. No, it was given to you. I think like when we consume those, you know, cinema sins and like why The Last Jedi fucking sucks. It's not your opinion, and you didn't feel that way. Yeah. You just saw something that made you be like, yeah, that was stupid. Yeah.
No, because for me, when I would just kind of defend my criticism of The Last Jedi, which is like, I think I agree with you. Like, for me, I'm getting influenced by your devotion to it. Yeah. But I will still kind of go, there was definitely like moments of like, oh, it's awesome. But it's also kind of like, eh.
Oh, for sure.
It's not the best sequel in my opinion. I still like Force Awakens because that's just a fun romp. It's like, wee. Okay, sure. But I will kind of go like this, like just kind of like sum up how I would do it, right? To get outside of that being influenced. Yeah. I think websites like Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, and Metacritic. Before you get to see audience opinion, you have to, this is super hard. I don't know.
You would never do this, but yeah.
You have to verify you actually played it or played at least a little bit or watched it or, you know, went to a movie theater and the score is like blank. You can't see it.
Well, that's what I would. I love that idea.
Yeah,
I don't think they could ever implement it, but I
the thing
love
is
that
after
idea.
you verified, then you give your review, then you can see the result.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. It's like, oh, was I wrong?
Yeah.
Why? And then you kind of like try to defend it, or you kind of like try to figure out why.
And I think people would realize that like it can be hard coming up with your own opinion. Like when I watched White Noise, I don't know if that made it into an episode that got published or not.
Yeah.
But when I watched White Noise, I'd seen 0 reviews. I knew nothing. I saw a trailer. I was like, that looks pretty cool. Like Adam Driver, I like Noah Baumbach.
Yeah.
And like, even as someone I think who has a pretty solid basis for my film opinions, it took me a while to be like, is this good or is this shit? And like, it took me like half an hour, 45 minutes into the movie to be like, oh, this is shit.
Yeah.
And it takes a while when you're 100% blind forming your own opinion.
Yeah.
Because you have to get data points. And when you look at reviews, that's just data points you get to bring in and be like, oh yeah, that is shit. Or like you read something, oh yeah, that is shit.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. You're a contrarian and you're like, wow, critics love this. Well, fuck that. I don't even realize it. Or I realize it more now because I'm more conscientious of it.
Yeah.
How much, if I go into something that has crazy high reviews, how much I don't want to like it. I want to be like, oh, 100%. That's fucking bullshit. These people are so wrong. Wow.
I'm almost the exact same way. It's like, because I know everyone, I think I'm like the single digit people in the world who still hasn't seen everything all at once.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
But here's the thing right there. It's like, everyone's like, oh, it's so amazing. You're going to love it. Blah, blah, blah. I have, like, I talked to Jillian because it's on Prime Video now.
Yeah.
It's like really close to just like, oh, we can just watch it. I do not want to watch it anymore.
I mean, I'm not going to force you to watch it. I think
it's great. It's great.
You will. Yeah. I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah.
You will enjoy it. Yeah. It's a fun movie. It's not like a pretentious, like, oh, wow, the meaning of life. It's like, yo, there's like the craziest kung fu shit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
There's people with giant fucking fingers and like weird shit.
Here's the problem is that like everyone's like, oh, Michelle Yeoh, she's so amazing. I'm like, I grew up on her movies because she was just like a celebrated woman actress in my family because she's Malaysian. Right? Yeah. So it's like we all loved her and everyone's like, yeah, she's so great. And I'm like, I fucking like for me, like I'm starting to gatekeep. I'm like, fuck you. You guys don't know shit. Granted, her in the Witcher prequels, apparently that's shit and that's embarrassing.
That's not her fault. That's just a bad franchise.
Yeah, but it's just the kind of like weird things. Like just going back to your point, it's like everyone's just like, I'm a contrarian in there.
Yeah,
because everyone's just like, watch it. 100%.
And the opposite is true too. Where like with a band where you feel like you've discovered them and you love them so much, and then they go mainstream, and maybe objectively they're as good as they've ever been.
Fall Out Boy,
but they're no longer yours. Yeah, and then all of a sudden you're like, I don't like it. I don't like them anymore.
I will say this. Maybe people will agree or disagree. I like Fall Out Boy, and then they sold out and it became shit.
Most bands eventually do, especially when they get a little bit older.
But
I think it's hard. There's no single person that's right. I think it's valid to be, cynical of reviewers because some have an agenda and some don't. I will say most don't. Most just, they're bringing in their context, their life experience, and they're picked for that review or they like the thing, so they make a review.
Yeah.
They're not being like, I want to fuck the system up. Yeah. They're just like, they're doing their thing. And most audiences, they're having their experience and everyone is influencing everyone.
Yeah. It's a whole hive mind. It's the kind of thing that I wanted to kind of like almost like end on. On this is that I will always say this, and this is, take it with a grain of salt. I'm not personally calling you out, is that a person is smart, people are dumb.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with that.
But the thing is that what I really kind of
still some dumb persons.
Yeah, those dumb persons. Oh, those dumb people able to influence your dumb persons. But I don't know, whatever. But the one thing I kind of want to take away from this is that it's not the fact that I'm saying, no, you don't have a right of opinion. Be conscious about your opinion. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, I went in, like, for example, I did not like the Uncharted movie. I still think it's not great, but it's passable. If my nieces and nephews go, oh, can I watch it? I'm like, oh, you'll probably enjoy it. Mm-hmm. But for me, I won't enjoy it. But I will never say that to them because I don't want to influence them. But it's like I went in there, gonna hate it.
Yeah.
And it had that piece of media had to like fight.
That's fair. I will end on the thought that not all opinions are created equal. And it's not that like all critic audiences or critic reviews are better than all audience reviews.
Yeah.
But I think that social media has empowered everyone to feel like their voice is important. And sometimes it's okay to listen. And I think like reviews is a microcosm of this greater issue of everyone always has to have an opinion. Everyone always has to make it known.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's okay to like sit back and like let people who maybe know a little bit more than you tell you why things are good, why things are bad. And then you can form your own opinion. It's important to take the data points and form your own opinion.
Yeah.
But maybe you don't need to let everybody know. And like, hey, creators on YouTube that have bad takes, hey, maybe you should learn a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, the creators that want it, this is a whole different topic. The creators who have those bad takes know they have a bad take.
Yeah, some of them do.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like, what's most what's more sensational right now if that's a topic? I love the Last of Us TV show, or I hate the Last of Us TV show. Like people will click on I hate. Yeah. So we'll talk about that later.
Clickbait.
But
that's a whole other topic.
Oh God, I love doing clickbait.
Yeah.
Titles.
Well, let's end it there. I had other stuff that I'm going through, but we'll have to save that.
Yeah. Oh, here's one thing I want to know. This is gonna give me a couple minutes. So I'm moving.
Yes.
This podcast is recorded in my house, which is no longer going to be the set.
Yes.
So we're going to try to bankroll some of these episodes, but eventually enough, the podcast is going to be remote.
Yes.
So it's going to be me on one side, Dave on one side, and
maybe a guest.
Yes, yeah.
I think that's the ideal. Yeah.
So it's going to change a little bit, but that's still like a month or a month and a half.
Yeah.
So just FYI. But also, I wanted to point that out just for informational. One thing is that I kind of realized something about moving, and everyone hates moving.
Everyone hates moving. It sucks.
I hate moving for a different reason that people might not know.
Tell me.
It's finding out that I buy too much shit. And it's the fact of me realizing how much of a consumer I am. Because I go, oh, look at all these like battery banks I have. Why do I need 6 of these?
Yeah.
And it's just like my head going, oh, I slowly accumulated these over the last 6 years. Yeah. So I will everyone who is listening, who's still listening, go at Riley Murdoch and go, Jono says Riley is right by being a minimalist. Do not buy things you do not need.
Yeah.
Always think of what you have and then buy when that breaks.
Yeah.
So thanks,
and
Riley.
it's a lot easier to keep that going than to like start from scratch or like you to get to that point. And I struggle with that too. I mean, I am in the process of trying to sell a bunch of stuff. Like I mean, I'm a retro collector, so I have thousands of games and shit. But
I have Pokemon cards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like I don't really adhere to the Marie Kondo thing of like, does it spark joy? But I kind of do. It's like, if it makes you happy, it's worth having in your life. But there's so much that I have that's just there.
Well, here's the thing is that there's maybe a little bit too much information, whatever. Some of my stuff is going to be in storage for a while. Okay. So I'm trying to now strategically plan for it, going, do I need this gaming monitor or should I sell it?
Yeah, because it's not going to hold its value.
Yeah, so it's going to decrease. So I'm like, the soonest I'm going to be able to touch this again is probably in a year. Therefore, I should sell it. So it's that kind of weird mentality. But I just wanted to kind of bring that up because not a lot of people are thinking about their lifestyle and consumer. And my kind of personal goals, I always want people to kind of take away with some wisdom.
Yeah,
is just try not to buy so much stuff.
I think that's a great point of view, and I think you don't buy things that aren't genuinely bringing you joy. And that takes self-reflection because I buy things that make me happy. Yeah. But try and buy things that bring you joy, that really hit that core element of like filling your cup and making you, appreciate life or whatever a little bit more, not just something that pacifies you for the weekend.
Yeah. Also too is that it's good fiscal responsibility.
True.
Because, this is not a brag. Several houses,
motherfucker.
I have a nice fat bank account and all that stuff. It's the fact that you can kind of stop and realize, like, yes, I'm a consumer, but when you think about the things I buy, it's like $20, $30, and I still have that kind of fiscal fiscal willpower to not go over.
Well, and it's I found for myself, it's always easier to continue with being smart with money than it is to start over. Yeah. So I like when I've had money in saving, it's way easier to save than when you're like I've spent it or I like went between jobs and I have like less savings. Then I'm like, when I have less, it's way harder to start again than when you have a lot. But I highly recommend everyone setting that financial goal and sticking for it.
Yeah, it's not the fact that like, oh, it's easy for you, Jono.
No,
blah, blah,
that's
blah.
not what I'm saying.
It's all different kind of like levels. Is that I was thankful that, you know, I did not, my family didn't come in with a lot of money. This is, if you're interested in hearing this story, we'll talk, maybe I can talk about it like a little more, but you know, my family is like the Republican, the right wings, like ideal immigration story. You came here with almost nothing and you worked your way up to like everything. Cause my dad, when he came here, he did not have a degree, didn't have a diploma or anything like that.
Yep.
He bought a convenience store. That's how we immigrated.
Oh, wow.
And then he worked his way up to get a CGA, or which is a CPA now, certified professional accountant.
I see.
He owned several houses, taught me all these things. And like, if you're like a right-wing conservative or a Republican or whatever, he's like, yes, the Tan family, that is good people. It's like, well, it's more complex. It's more complex than that. But yeah. But anyways, that's something. If people want to hear that story, or maybe some background information on both of us.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Until then, follow us on Twitter at Let's Wing It Pod.
Let's Wing It Pod. Patreon is patreon.com/Let's Wing It.
Yeah, shout out to all the patrons. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, the 4 people. You know, it's small right now, but it's growing. Yep. And you guys can have the bragging rights of being the 4 first one.
Yeah, the 4. We'll give you a special badge or some shit.
Yeah,
we'll give it. What's a special badge for the first 20?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm probably gonna ask Jillian to like revamp a lot of stuff.
Sure.
And also, I will say this publicly: we got to go talk to Sarah.
Yeah, we really have to.
Yeah.
I want like I was kind of contemplating this. I'm like, I should push the podcast harder, but I'm actually genuinely think that's the right thing to do, to wait a little bit, get a body of work, and then start pushing, because you don't want people to like check it out and be like, oh, there's only a couple episodes. Okay, but you want like them to get hooked.
Yeah,
and you want them to be a lot for them to engage with. I'm
still learning a lot, and I mean, talking to, thankfully, of one of my coworkers, Alex Wolf. He runs a sports podcast.
Cool.
And I'm learning a lot.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, no, I think there's a lot of couple future episodes I want to do. We're all not going to be topical. Not like trending topics.
Yeah. The next one I want to do, I actually started Picard again. I'm catching up on Picard. Picard season 3 is in 2 weeks.
I didn't watch season 2 here's the reason.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, fucking Q. It's like,
okay, wait, save it.
Yeah.
We'll tell. I don't think it'll be a main topic, but I am working. I haven't never finished season 1.
Yeah.
So I started over.
Oh, yeah. So
I got so mad. We'll save it. We'll save it.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm working on that. So if you guys want to keep up with the show, maybe check out Picard 1 and 2.
Can you promise me watch Lower Decks at least?
How much of it do I have to watch? How many seasons is there?
There's 3 seasons.
How many episodes? 20?
10 each.
22-minute episodes?
Yeah.
I'll watch a season.
It's not the Star Trek that you want, but it's a good homage, and also they have pretty good stories. Okay. It's kind of like realistic.
Okay, I promise I will watch a season of it. That's 10. That's
no. Okay. Watch the first one. Watch the first one before next podcast.
Sure. Yeah, that's no problem.
Yeah,
I love Star Trek.
Cool. All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye. I love you.